Kim is not going to be here this evening. She has a family emergency. Okay. But could we stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public comment.
My name is Richard Walensky. I live at 89 Hall Road, 39-year resident of Londonderry. A few things I want to bring up. I've recently been listening to some of the audio tapes of these meetings, and to me, it's not right. I don't understand why these meetings are not being video recorded. I know you don't have video recording equipment in here. There is portable video recording equipment over at the cable studio. That can be used. All you need is a volunteer to run it. Goes on a chip, goes on town. You really should have a video recording. The problem with your audio recordings, you don't know who's speaking. Every time somebody speaks, that somebody else is speaking, who is it? Nobody knows. People need to know who it is. I know it's not required that you record them, but there was a warrant article this year, although non-binding, that the people want this. It passed by, I think, 77%. It passed by more than the budget for the town passed. So that's something that you people should vote on and look into getting the video equipment. You have these meetings, once a month, and have a videotape so people can see what's going on. My understanding is you do your minutes, and then the audio tapes are destroyed. So you don't even have the audio tape after a while. How long is the audio tape around before it's destroyed? Right after the minutes are approved? Minutes don't always reflect what has happened at a meeting, especially with this board as I see it, and I guess you're addressing this tonight, because you have no secretary. Kind of late to actually even get a secretary, because your bylaws and state law requires that all the people, chair, vice chair, they're all elected at the first meeting after your first meeting after the elections. Town council has to do it within, I think it's 10 days, but you only meet once a month, so that would be impossible. That's number one. Purchasing policy. You don't seem to have a purchasing policy. How do you run $1.5 million outfit with no purchasing policy? I did speak with Justin about it, and he is the town, and he's been trying to use the towns, but you're not required to use it. Just adopt it. Have a vote to adopt the town's purchasing policy. You can't run it without. I mean, when I was a town treasurer from 2001 to 2004. First thing I looked for when I came into office was the purchasing policy. They didn't have one. So if you look, it was started in 2001 when I started, and it was adopted in 2002 after they wrote it. I had little input on it. It was done by the finance department. It was Sue Hickey at the time. You need a purchasing policy. The other thing I heard on the tapes was bank accounts. So you have a treasurer. So who's the backup if something should happen to Jan?
The time is up.
What time?
You have 3 minutes.
Okay, you didn't state that. Do you have a written policy?
It's right on the table there.
Okay.
It's on in front of you as well.
The acting chair tonight.
No, I realize that. I realize that.
The 3 minutes is up.
All right, well, it's not like you have a big crowd, so you don't really want to hear what's going on. That's what you're
I'll
saying?
give you 1 more minute.
All right, so you don't... Who backs up Jan should something happen to Jan? Who is authorized to sign the checks?
Our chair.
The chair.
The chair
She's
can't
not here.
hold 2 positions on the same board if they're the chair. You should have either deputy treasurer or assistant treasurer. Town didn't have one of those either when I took over, and I made sure we got one. And a year later, I had a heart attack and was out. Had I not done that, nobody would have got paid, and accounts payable wouldn't have been paid. So that's 2. I'll let it go with that. I have a whole list. I'll be here at the end. I'll be here next month. These things need to be addressed. This is why we have a board. That's why you guys are in charge. Excuse me. You ladies are in charge since there are no guys here. We expect as members, it's people running the board, that you take care of these things. Thank you.
Hi, Beth Morocco. I wanted to say thank you again for everybody that is here. I know people put in really long hours, and I really appreciate every month your commitment to supporting our library. And as an advocate, teacher, parent, and somebody who really, really cherishes this space and the directorship that we have, and I've lived here for, 23 years. I know what we used to have, and I know what we have now, and I'm just really pleading with everyone as community members to really recognize what Erin and her team are doing here, really taking that to heart, knowing budget season's coming, and we can be prepared, because their job is to find a hole and to, ask people to reduce the budget. That's their job. And as our job as advocates of the library, I'm really hoping that we will figure out how to help Erin sell this budget, because it's so critically important. And she's done such an amazing job of keeping it really, things that are going to keep this space holding its high standards and doing really well. So thank you to everybody that's here. Thank you for all the stuff that's coming.
Keep things moving tonight. It was a late one last time. Okay, secretary's report.
Want me to do it? So the secretary's report is from the September 4th meeting. I didn't receive any emails or anything with requests for revisions. And as you'll notice, the minutes also have the link at the top of them now that has the access to the audio recording.
And are the tapes, do the tapes get destroyed after 30 days now, or they stay?
Our copy of the file can be deleted after the minutes are approved. However, the cable department will now be retaining
Okay,
the recording.
thank you.
Just need a motion. Okay. Motion to accept the secretary's report. Nancy? Second by Liz. All in favor?
Are we going to have discussion on that at all?
We just did. Did you have anything you wanted to
Yeah,
share?
there was one thing, there was a subsection in here, I think it was like around B14, 15-ish. Let's just see, I don't have my copy. So under the budget subcommittee, I just wanted to eliminate paragraph 3 because I didn't think it was pertinent to the trustee meeting. It's fine that, that happened, but I just don't think it was pertinent to the trustee meeting.
Page 14, you said?
Page 14. It's under budget subcommittee
paragraph.
report, the third paragraph.
So I would say that was stated at the board meeting, so that's why it's in there. It happened during the meeting.
It happened during the meeting, but it also happened at the beginning, and I just don't feel like it's relevant to what the meeting was about. It's fine to say it, it's fine to have a discussion about it, but I just don't feel like it's relevant to what the meeting's about.
But the minutes are supposed to be a reflection of what happened at the meeting, regardless of whether it's relevant to the topic at hand.
if we
or not.
take that out, I feel like we're
Well, I mean,
Not
if I come in and
representing the
I
minutes
soup
appropriately.
recipes for 20 minutes, are you going to put that in the meeting minutes too?
probably.
Depends on who the secretary is.
Well,
Yes.
I'm writing them as a true reflection of what happened at the meeting. And that did happen at the meeting.
Right, but I mean,
It was just in a different order. Right?
yeah.
Because we discussed that, we did the budget committee stuff at
I
the very beginning.
don't believe it was. When I write them, I'm writing them
From the recording.
audio recording. I listen to the entire recording over again and write them. So I'm writing them in the order that it happened.
Well, I thought we discussed the budget stuff right at the beginning last time.
If you
This-
want,
Sorry.
if you would rather table the minutes and approve them next time, I can go back and listen to it again and see where it actually happened if you like. But I don't think they should be removed. That paragraph should be removed because it did happen. And I think everyone agrees that it did happen.
Put personal offense to it?
I just don't think it's relevant, and I just don't think it's, necessarily appropriate to put it in a report like this.
I think Erin was trying to state a fact about setting the times and the meetings and having people honor those commitments.
Well,
So I think having that be part of the record, there's nothing wrong with that.
do you mind if I speak up? So the reason I think it's important to be in there, not because I said it, but more so that the board asked to have these subcommittees, and as I expressed in the last meeting, which we are fine with, but it's frustrating when the subcommittees, we plan the dates, we put aside time, we adjust our schedules, and then the board members don't show up to the subcommittees, which they requested to have. So that's where I wanted to just make note of that it was a request from the board to have these subcommittees, and we honored that request, and then people don't show. So that's a frustration on our end, because then what's the point of the subcommittees?
Jan?
We also had the discussion at the same meeting that things happen and people do have, things that go on throughout the summer and whatever. That's not reflected in here either. The acknowledgement that,
Was that discussed during this meeting or during non-public?
it was discussed during this meeting.
During the actual
During
public
the meeting when we were discussing the budget subcommittee.
Okay. I don't remember that discussion during the public meeting.
I remember, yeah.
Okay. We can certainly adjust the minutes to
And
reflect
I
that.
apologized for not having come because of my moving.
And I totally understand life happens. It's just, it was a number of times, so that's where the frustration comes. And the fact that with the budget, we're on a tight schedule. And so that's where the frustration, I think, for us comes, to be able to be prepared for the budget to be presented to the town. So.
I believe that as this is a true depiction of the minutes of the meeting, it should say what was said in the meeting. When are you going to start filtering, and who's going to make that decision of what should we put in and what shouldn't we? If you got a minutes of a meeting, it should be very clear this is what was stated. Everyone should understand that whatever they say is going to go on record. And there's certainly nothing wrong with your addressing your frustration to us. You need to share that with us. If we're not stepping up, we need to step up, we're here to assist you to have a great organization. But I don't think that anyone should be, the person deciding what was important and what wasn't important.
I guess to Jan's point, if you're commenting that you're only including what was mentioned at the meeting, then the comments that Jan was referring to should be included in there as well.
Well, we can certainly listen back to the recording and make sure that those comments are in there.
Added in.
Yeah, and we can certainly add those in. I have no problem with that.
I'd like to make the point that as we move toward video recording, there isn't going to be any editing.
Yeah.
So this is really a moot point. Wouldn't you agree?
If
Yes.
we move toward-
Right. So if this is
We are going to vote on video recording.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So as we have meetings that are recorded, then they're not certainly going to be edited, and people will have every opportunity to see what is discussed.
Right,
So
but
I think that this, excuse me, I'm not done.
Sorry.
This is a reflection of what was said at that meeting, just as when we have video recordings, when someone hits play on an actual meeting, there will be no edits.
Right, and I understand that. Like I said, I was just commenting to Jan's point of if you're going to make the comment to include a specific one comment, then you should
I
include the
agree.
others as
So if you
well.
would like, are you requesting that they go back and make that adjustment?
It's up to Jan and Laura, they brought it up.
Well, that would
I
have to
think
be-
it should.
That would have to be a vote.
Yeah.
So I guess that if, in fairness, that I'm going to suggest that Donna review the minutes of the meeting, okay, from that meeting, and if there is something that was accidentally overlooked, then they should be included into a revised meeting.
If that's a
And
motion, I'll
Can you say-
second.
That's
yeah,
If that's a motion, I'll second it.
Okay. So suggested by Liz, seconded by Nancy. Any discussion?
And I don't want to put the onus on Donna to have to go back and listen to it. I mean, I'd be happy to, if it's available online, right?
Yes.
So we can
Yeah.
go and listen to it and,
There you
text or whatever.
How do we go
because-
about that option?
Okay, can we adjust the motion? You going to volunteer to listen to it?
I'll volunteer to listen to it.
Jan
Yeah.
McLaughlin will review it and and see if she can find the statement that she felt was missing from the minutes, and they can be added into
Sure.
an appendix.
And I just want to say, I agree with what you say, but that's why I think the video recording is a better option.
I think that we're moving toward that, but that's not the discussion that we're having tonight.
Right.
Right now, we're just discussing minutes, and you're wanting to make an edit, and so we're trying to figure out a way to make you happy.
Yeah.
Are you video
Can we-
recording right now?
We need to re-vote on this,
Yes.
right?
Is that just for your personal use?
Yes.
Was there anything else in the minutes?
Okay.
Is it okay if we move on? Oh, you have to
Yeah,
vote on that.
We
Sorry.
need to vote on,
Yep, all in favor of allowing, supporting Jan as she reviews the recording for any adjustments that need to be done to the minutes?
aye.
Was there anything else in the minutes?
Anything else from the secretary's report? It was a long one.
As long as no one-
So big the staple fell out.
Yeah, mine-
Okay, no, good. All right, director's report?
So thank you to the town IT department. They installed the screen that's up there behind you. We appreciate them doing that. It'll make programming and other things much easier to visually see on that wall. So thank you to the town IT. I also want to thank you to the DPW department for putting together the 2 picnic tables that are out back for our patrons and staff to use. We had light bulbs replaced in the building. Thank you to Maria, who's actually in the audience tonight, for planting those mums that are out front. They're blooming beautifully. And we had a couple of visits from DPW for a broken toilet handle. They also hung a plaque. There's artwork in study room A. And the plaque is next to it, so thanking the artist for that. And we have a new leak in the front entryway. Dave is Dave is aware of it. It is a different leak than the one before, from what we understand. So we're keeping an eye on it. We did have it was like after a heavy rain, so we're working with him to try to figure out where it's coming from. And then we did replace, thank you to Chairston for letting us know that there are some chairs available at Town Hall. So we did replace some of our work desk chairs with those. And so some of the staff is very happy with their newish chairs. And then we did have Northeast Dock record retention come, and we filled 5 bins, which are the large trash can type bins, full of documents to shred after the new retention policy was approved at the last meeting. So we were able to clean out some of the old documents, and they picked them up today. We also had our 5th semi-annual puzzle exchange on the 23rd. We collected 416 puzzles, 35 patrons signed up and donated puzzles, and we had 26 patrons attended. So I feel like it was another successful event. Patrons are always very happy to have that. Any leftover puzzles were put out for the public for free. We had quite a few left over, and I think upstairs was only 3 left.
Yeah.
So popular for that too.
Everybody's thinking about the winter.
Yeah, so thank you to the friends also. They did a lot of volunteering to manage the puzzle swap. They signed up for time slots and stuff like that, so we appreciate them for doing that. Members of the friends. And then I apologize, the news and programs was not in my report, but it is attached. It is in the documents, the next packet over, so it doesn't look like it normally looks in my report, but everything, I would just copy and paste it and move it over. So everything is there. And then just as far as some meetings and trainings, I just wanted to point out a couple of them. I met with Denise Van Zanten. I think I said that right. She is the Manchester City Library Director. GMILKS has, when you're a new member of GMILKS, or in the past if you've been a new member, you are assigned a mentor. She is my mentor, so I am able to use her, of course anybody on GMILKS, but her for guidance or questions or anything like that. So it's been great to have that kind of extra person. And then obviously attended a number of meetings. I just wanted to also point out we hosted a tour for the town budget committee. They came over on the 19th. I gave them a tour of the library, and then they used this space after the tour to finish their meeting. It was great to share some of our services and things that we're doing with them. I enjoyed speaking to them, and I know some of them I think are new to the committee, so that was nice. We also attended on the 21st the annual Senior Expo, me and my head of reference, Matt, at the Londonderry Middle School. That is a great event. I cannot speak highly enough about that event. The Senior Resource Committee does a great job organizing that, along with police and fire, who also chip in. We were talking literally all day. I think we sat down for like 5 minutes. We connected with a lot of people, and it was great. And they had a lot of vendors there this year. So I think that was a great experience, and I hope they continue to do it, because I think it's made a big difference. And then, Donna and I met with Justin and Mike, the town manager, on the 27th, and we talked about the audit, specifically how the auditors would like us to hand over or give them copies of our treasury reports and our bank statements. So we will comply, obviously. So we will be giving those to Justin related to the audit, so that we can comply to that. And then I'd like to acknowledge Laura, who is our full-time library technician. And I apologize, I did not acknowledge her in August, but she's been with us 15 years.
Wow.
So, yay, Laura! So, thank you. That's all my director's report. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
Can I get a copy of the budget subcommittee from 9/24, please? The meeting minutes?
I believe
They have not been posted yet, but yes.
Thank you.
You don't need to vote on.
No, I just didn't know if anybody had any questions.
May I make a comment? Retention is so important. It's obviously the staff is, it's the work environment that makes a difference in the staff and how the respect that all the employees are treated with. And obviously you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Okay. Donna, whenever you're ready. Assistant director.
All right, so for tech services, in September, the staff added 399 materials to the collection, which is a little lower than our norm, mainly because many of us took time off in September. So that's why that number's a little lower. We're also preparing to obviously join GMOX. So the number of things we add in October is going to be very small, because we are actually pausing cataloging very soon, so that all materials that have already been cataloged, we have time to get through them, to process them and get them in the system before we actually migrate. We're also going to pause ordering, so all orders will be paused from about October 14th to November 4th. It's about 3 weeks, and we've already kind of put out to the public that we will not be processing interlibrary loan requests this month. So we are really in the thick of it now. And kind of all of our normal stuff is slowing down so that we can focus on the transition. For outreach and collaboration, Erin mentioned in September the Senior Expo. In October, actually tomorrow, we are going to be hosting a story time at Max, which we're really excited about. First one we've done,
Yes.
I believe. And there's also going to be a Read Local book discussion at Los Reyes in Derry. That will be at the end of October. I also wanted to mention, because we were talking quite a bit about like ways that we've found either through grant funding or whatnot for kind of offsetting some of our costs. I'll try to do a little more in terms of mentioning even like small donations that we're getting or ways that people are donating their time. So a very recent one is Becca, our reference librarian, reached out to Max, and they very generously donated 20 pumpkins for our pumpkin painting program, which I believe is also tomorrow. So I estimated that's over $100 value. So that was great that she reached out and that was successful. For meetings, I like a lot of the other staff went to shadow at other GMOX libraries in September. I went to Rogers and Hudson and Amherst. Both were great, and I also had a meeting with the GMOC staff to continue that process. In terms of migration, we're continuing to work on cleanup for data in our current system, and I'm working on setting up our digital connections between our catalog and our vendors that will now be capable of with the new system. And I also reached out in writing to let Follett, our current system, know that we will not be renewing our subscription. So we shouldn't have any issues there in terms of ending our contract with them. And then I also wanted to mention that this week is the final week we'll be shadowing. We ended up collectively visiting 7 GMOPS libraries over the last month, which overall was very successful. It helped us further our training, and we learned a little bit about how other libraries handle their workflows. So.
And I have to say, those libraries have been very gracious and of inviting us and answering any questions we have and continuing to answer any questions we have. So we're thankful for that.
Just a quick question, for the cleaning up the data that was identified as an issue.
Yep.
Could you give a little more detail on that?
Sure. So the major thing, actually, the first thing that we handled as a first priority was some of our barcodes, especially our older barcodes. When they brought them in as a test load, they conflicted with barcodes that were already existing in their system. So we had to fix all those barcodes immediately, which we've done. And the other side of it that Megan and I are working on right now are related to our DVD series. The way we cataloged our DVD series, we put all of our disc information in the title field, and that's really not going to work with the new system. So we've had to manually move a lot of our disc information to a different field, so that when we move to the new system, they can actually pull that field to match a field in the new system. So it's been a lot of going one by one through all those records to fix things. So
Good to know.
yeah.
Erin, anything from the department heads report?
Megan's here, so she can speak to her department head reports, but the other for reference and children's is in the packet, but Megan can speak to hers if she'd like.
So we had 14,374 items checked out from both the physical and digital collections. So that is materials here in the library and from UFLA and Libby. So we had some popular searches, which I always find interesting to see what people are looking for. Of course, the women was number one, because we
Still holding on, huh?
know that.
The women.
Yes. Then A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. It's a teen book, which I was super excited to see that was up there on there. Colleen Hoover, again, no surprise, Dog Man, which compared to the last time we had the other series that Dave Pilkey.
Underpants one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they've now moved on to Dogman. And then Kristen Hanna and Swan Song. So very similar to the summer thing, so we can see what's trending. Then beginning in October, the book sale will have a new magazine swap. Visitors can drop off any of their current gently read magazines and maybe pick up a new magazine or two. We're able to have this. This was brought up to our attention by a current patron who wanted to just share what she had, and we actually had a donation of a magazine rack that was gently used.
It all worked out.
Perfect timing.
Yes.
And so that will be getting set up in the book sale this month. For our teen services, we have our display this month is going to be on scary stories and horror tales to kind of tie it in with Halloween. So some of the featured titles are Fear, it's a 13 stories of suspense, and then Silver Eyes by Scott Cawthorne, which is one of the Five Nights at Freddy's books, which are also becoming really popular with the kids. As you can see, I did include some pictures just so you can see the kids in action. We are seeing a lot of kids after school. doing a variety of things, studying, hanging out, completing the puzzle, and then a couple of activities going on in the meeting room here. I did want to point out that for the Coding Club and Maker Lab, it's a 2-hour block that they can kind of do whatever they'd like, either coding or crafting or other things, and we'll be working on collaborative projects throughout the year. And the collaborative project for September was a scarecrow, and together they decided what they wanted to do for a theme, and designed the scarecrow. It is at Max Apples. I put it up today. It is based on the book Wicked by Gregory Maguire, and they painted the pumpkin, and it came out so cute. So that is at Max Apple, so I encourage you all to go and see it, and they were really excited to do that.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Megan, do we have some kind of guidelines on the magazine swap? I mean, what if someone brings in a 5-year-old magazine? It's not a current information or anything?
So, no, we're just trying it out just to see how much interest there is in this. It'll be during book sale hours, so that hopefully it kind of stops people from bringing in a lot of donations of magazines, but we do encourage it to be current, gently used. So if it's something that's still usable, depending on the title, and we'll kind of see how it goes. It's going to be a trial basis.
A cooking magazine, though, might be, a cooking magazine might still have good recipes.
A lot of times the magazines are good too for like projects, so people can cut things out of them. So
Yes,
if it's not like if it's on the older side but in great condition, we might still put it out there, because a lot of times people do use the magazines to cut out. And like you said, cooking or things like that
Bird and whatever.
are always popular. So
something like that never is outdated.
right. So we'll manage that.
People
National
manage
Geographic.
things like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, God.
We'll keep
So
an
as
eye
long
on
as you
it.
have the discretionary ability to, if no one's going to take out a 5-year-old magazine from people, because these people are not married to the same people anymore.
I think on a weekly basis that could
You
change.
probably want to get rid of it.
Even the same people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can kind of take a look and kind of see how it goes and
Yeah.
see what's
Oh, yeah,
there and what
and that's-
doesn't. And it's all
tons.
free. It's just, going to be
Yeah.
located in the book sale, just because I thought that was the most appropriate spot. We don't
Sounds
really have a
great.
lot of space upstairs. So it's kind of a wait and see how it's going to work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want to
No, no.
I was going to say, if that has some teeth to it, you could try doing some comic book swaps too, because if you had old comic books, there would be people who would be thrilled. There would be little kids who'd be absolutely thrilled.
True.
They'd like that. And that never goes out of
That's a
style.
great idea. I haven't read a comic book in a year. That'd be awesome.
Well, it seems like all the kids are reading
Yeah.
comic books now.
Yeah. Graphic novels.
But-
Yeah.
Old is new again.
Yeah.
Yes. So the question I have is there are there things from the library's collection that we either go through or don't keep long enough or whatever in the magazine world? I don't know how long you keep magazines that we have or whatever, but is there some that also could be funneled into this?
Maybe. We have, we keep them for 6 to 12 months, depending on frequency and space that we have. And then we do have 10 patrons at last count that request specific copies of old magazines and newspapers that before they are discarded. We do give the opportunity. A lot of them take them for art projects for children, for like not school, for counseling. There's seniors. They give them to retired people in different places. They all kind of use them as they see fit. And so it's a way for us to, like, they have a second life essentially. So we don't actually have that many that don't go to that are already claimed.
Okay.
And we do get a lot of interest in like storyboards and things like that. So sometimes we have that. So if we just don't have a lot that would be considered, but we will keep that in
I was
mind.
just going to say, if there's some that are coming off to the end of their life
Yeah.
it would be another place to
For sure,
be able
yeah.
to get them out to somebody.
Absolutely.
potentially.
So it will take that into consideration as well, seeing what I have for space. Not claimed.
I know in a past meeting, I don't remember which one specifically, there was someone that was donating their time to kind of redo or reorganize the teen section. Was there anything that's happened with that since then?
Yeah, so it was Liz LeBlanc, and she is donating her time to help us. She's a commercial interior designer, and we are communicating just to see source materials, like how much would it cost if for getting the carpet replaced and reorganizing, potentially getting the new furniture and making sure everything's cohesive. We don't have any final numbers on that, but it's just with the intent of applying for a grant for that space. And she helped us out with like a couple of ideas of where to get chairs and tables and things like that. So she's offering
She has a lot of connections.
Yeah. So so she's offering her services, like whatever we need for that, for free, for us to kind of give her connections to help us save on costs and make sure everything looks cohesive. So it would be, the overall project, I think, is going to be more than just the teen section, but that's really where we started, was kind of look and see what it would cost. So we don't have any final ideas yet for that, but she is working on it. I did give her a copy of the library plans so she can kind of get a CAD file for that, because there currently is not one in existence.
Yeah,
So it wasn't necessarily for like the teens' user experience, it was more for furnishings and carpeting then?
Right, which was for the
in
user
the
experience.
teen area.
It's to reconfigure the teen space for somewhere for them to be able to come and be more comfortable instead of just, there's no space for them that's dedicated just for them. So they they sit over by the computers or over by the chess set or off to the side, and the furniture is old and it's not as comfortable. So this would be more dynamic seating. So the idea would be that there would be dedicated study spaces that is built for the teens, and then multi-level seating so that they can hang out and have collaborative space in a way that it contains them into where their books and materials would be.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
I just have a question.
Sorry.
About the teen space. So, where are you talking about using for the location? The area that currently is by where the bulletin board is?
Yeah, so the teen section currently occupies like a U shape with the table we have for the collaboration where the puzzle is. It would also include the space on the other side. As we are adjusting and shifting things around, part of the larger project is we're moving one of the shelving units that was housing the reference collection so that it's easier to access the computers. I don't know if you've been there. That first computer gets a little tight if somebody's working there.
It does.
So to create just a better access, we were going to be moving that shelf. So we'll be putting it perpendicular to what's there in between the two side-by-side bays of music to kind of create that section. So it's a pseudo wall. So it's not a wall. We're going to make an opening there, but that will extend the teen section. By doing that, we're going to be moving the paperbacks and the graphic novels onto the back side of that, and on the side facing the teen section we'll be able to bring all of the teen nonfiction books collection into their own section so they're not interfiled with the adult nonfiction, which is sometimes tough for them to look through and find. So that part is not going to really cost us any money, just the shifting around, but it's to have something that they can have that is more teen friendly for seating and collaborative space.
And just when you mentioned that about the books, is there, and this actually goes back toward GMILs, is our positioning of the graphic novels or whatever else, is that in conflict with how it is in other libraries with GMILs?
No.
No? Okay, great. Just because I know that we've had discussions in the past about where the stuff is and...
Yeah, so the locations of our collections don't really affect GMILCs because people can interlibrary loan them and we can send them through the delivery.
Okay.
And so, but they're certainly welcome to come in and browse, and we always offer anybody who wants a tour or especially now that we'll be getting some new patrons with the GMILCs joining, I imagine we'll be giving some tours to some new patrons, so we can certainly do that if people don't know where things are.
Well, and I discovered that Garfield is in that collection, so it's like, okay, even Garfield's gotten the boot to the adult section. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Great. Budget committee report.
So just a quick, because I know we're going to be talking about the budget, but I'll just give a quick subcommittee report. We met on September 24th, and Kim, Nancy, Erin, and Donna were in attendance. We reviewed the budget and discussed the furniture line item, which was a topic that came up during the trustees meeting prior to that. And certainly, Nancy, if you want to share anything, you certainly can. But there was a decision by the subcommittee to keep it as is. There were no changes to the budget after the end of that meeting. We did discuss a contingency plan, and that was if we were asked to cut, what would that look like? I think we came up, the members of the subcommittee did come up that I would express obviously my disappointment to a cut, but that it would need to go back to the board for a vote. I wouldn't be able to make that decision at that time. So I would certainly bring that request back to the board as I did last year for them to decide. So I think that's where we left it with the subcommittee. Do you want to add anything, Nancy? Okay. So I could move on if you'd like.
Yeah, so then we can just...
Unless anybody has any questions about that?
Into the budget of old business.
Yep. So the first line item was the budget FY26. So in your packet is the proposed budget for FY26. Before we go into that, I just wanted to introduce Justin Campo, who is our finance director. I didn't know as we go over that if anybody had any questions about it or questions to ask Justin. I thank you for coming tonight out of your normal schedule. So, and I was hoping that if nobody had any questions or once we're done with the budget discussion, Justin could then go back to his family. So that's why I'm kind of, unless you don't want to, it's up to you. So tonight we just need the board to vote on the budget and also vote on whether they want a warrant for that full-time children's librarian position that we are requesting. There would be 2 votes for that. So 1 vote for the budget and then 1 vote for that position warrant, or warrant position, excuse me. And certainly I'm open to discussion, but I just wanted to make sure I remembered to say that.
So you are entertaining questions now for Justin?
If Justin's entertaining questions, yeah.
So one of the things that I have asked...
Yeah, sorry. It does not go up.
One of the things that I had asked was our line item for legal expenses. And so we actually have never had any money in this particular account, but certainly as the library incurs more and more 91A complaints, we are compelled certainly to seek legal counsel. And I wanted to know if you could offer up any guidance to us. Is that a reasonable figure? Is that too much? You know,
sorry.
Is it too little?
It's red. Okay.
I thought we had it on there before, though, and it was just taken out last year.
So last year you guys initially requested it, and it was one of the items that was removed when you were asked to cut the budget.
Yep.
Okay, so it wasn't in there prior to that?
Correct.
Okay.
Historically, and over the past year, the town's legal line has absorbed any issues since you are part of the town, or are a department of the town.
Yeah.
In terms of the 2,000, it's a good start to get a better estimate on this when reviewing our legal invoices. If a lawyer by chance talks to Aaron about one thing and then in the same day we'll talk to Mike, it'll be in the same category of
Right.
1.2 hours for lawyer A,
Right.
discuss with Aaron XYZ, discuss with Mike ABC. It doesn't break out 30 minutes Aaron, 30 minutes, because they bill us as one and we pay as one.
Okay, so you feel like this is a good place for us to start?
It is. I mean, including all the combinations, you're looking between about 4 and 5 is where you were at last year.
Really?
But
4 and
that's
5
also
thousand?
yes.
Yeah.
But that's also, like I said, including any conversations that occurred with the town that they put into one category.
Yeah.
And the
Well-
town paid, I'm sorry, then the town paid for that?
Correct.
Okay.
So like every time we consult with the attorney, like when we were reviewing our personnel policy, we get billed for that?
No, the town
gets
did.
billed for
The
that.
town, okay,
Yep.
okay. Very
But
good.
it would reference the library.
It would either reference Leach Library or the individual at Leach Library they spoke with.
So I have a question in regards
go
to that. So are other departments also designating funds for,
The only other one that does is the sewer fund, which acts as an enterprise fund separate from the town's general fund.
okay.
So if we didn't include it in our budget, the town would just continue paying it for the library?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, my question is, okay, it's already being covered by the town. If we now request money in our budget, then will the town back down and say, okay, but that's all you're getting, 2,000. You're not going to get any other advice after that. You know what I mean? It could bite you.
And that line
That would be terrible.
If what we're looking at is now $4,000 to $5,000, and we're asking for $2,000,
Right.
I think there's a little risk value there.
Donna?
I just wanted to share too that the board does also have the right to find its own lawyer separate from the town. And if the board ever wanted to do that, then they would need the budget to pay for it.
Yep.
Of course.
So I just wanted
They
to
would
share.
use a different
It would
word.
be very expensive probably too.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that as a board that we would want to, you know,
Well, but if we had a claim against the town, we would
well,
have
I
to.
guess. So.
Yeah,
Yeah, then we would have to.
that would be terrible.
Just saying.
You didn't hear that one.
You're not wrong. I wouldn't pay for you guys to sue us.
Yeah.
So would you advise us to take that out if the town is paying our bill?
That's a decision for you guys,
Yeah.
especially based on that recent comment. But, I mean,
You have a good
you guys
point.
are in a unique situation with the library where I treat you as though you were just another large department. You guys, as you are well aware, have the RSAs to essentially tell me, too bad, we're doing it this way. So that's where the conflict is, and I'm not able to answer that question. I guess is the best way to
Well,
put it.
that's helpful.
I personally am a little bit uncomfortable with, you know, breaking new ground here.
Sure.
Because I think that, you know, at first we're saying, oh, we're covering our liability. No, what we're doing is probably creating more liability.
Well, certainly it's the board's decision if they want to
Well,
keep
I'm
that.
perfectly comfortable taking that line item out. I just couldn't understand why we didn't have anything in it
Right.
when we were consulting with the attorney, you know, and sort of being billed, but not understanding that the town pays for our bill. Thank you. We appreciate that.
We appreciate that, yeah.
Yes,
Now
thank you.
understanding that they're covering our bills
For that.
For that.
for that.
So just to be clear, do we compensate you for that? Like, do you take that out of library funds to cover that?
That is taken out of the legal department's budget.
So it's strictly town money?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, then if we want to take that out, then do we need a motion to take that out?
Well, I want to just
Sure.
see if we have any other questions
Yeah.
for
Oh, no, I
Justin,
understand.
and then we can discuss
Yeah.
the budget
Yes.
with that thought in mind, if that's okay,
Yeah.
Chair, Madam
Yeah.
Chair?
Yes.
Okay. So did anybody have any other questions?
I do.
Oh,
So at our subcommittee meeting, we had also discussed about, in our effort to be fiscally prudent and responsible, going about establishing maintenance trust funds. And it was just an idea, and we thought that it might be at some point good for us as a board to have that conversation. So who do we get advice from? Is that from you or someone at the Library Association up in Concord?
So, as part of the town, you have
Yes.
access to the town's expendable maintenance trust fund for repairs such as that, which I believe is what we utilize for the roof.
Okay.
If you were to want your own to make sure that nobody else could touch it, it would essentially be establishing a warrant article to establish the trust.
Okay.
So, with the trust funds that we currently have, or not, well, the maintenance trust funds you currently have for the town,
Correct.
are there things for, like printers and things like that, or is it
No.
buildings?
Building.
Okay.
Building and facilities maintenance.
We can't use any of it for our supplemental budget, to supplement our budget.
No, just thinking from the standpoint, I would think that we might have some other needs that we would like to put money aside for other than just.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be that, for that account.
Okay.
Point of order, have you had public meeting on the budget yet for the library?
Yes, we had a subcommittee meeting 2 weeks ago.
We've actually had,
That's a subcommittee, but the budget committee.
No, it
Oh, I
doesn't
don't
I
have
mean,
any.
the
No.
board here.
That's the 4th.
well, we have it at these
November.
meetings.
But have you had one that was referenced for the public?
Yeah, they've been at
Okay,
every,
I haven't been to one because I
Yeah.
see a problem with this. The 2,000, if you left it on there, you're a bottom line budget. If you went over the 2,000, since you're a bottom line budget, you can still take money from other areas of the budget to pay for anything over the 2,000.
Yes.
You would not be cut off.
yes.
That's what Jan was just
Yep.
saying.
Right.
Right. And
Yep,
if they
we
leave
understand.
nothing in there, they can still spend money on the legal defense.
Only if they have a line item with an appropriation. I talked to Dredd today about it.
Who?
Dredd, DRA. You have to have an appropriation. You can't have a zero line item.
So you highlighted life insurance and workers' compensation.
Yep.
Is that because these are updated figures?
We
No.
don't have those numbers yet.
Yeah.
You don't have those numbers yet? Okay.
We usually get them middle to end of October.
End of October?
And those numbers we have no control over. So if, for example, if you, like, they could go up or down, we have no idea how to predict
Have
those
they ever
numbers.
gone down?
Yes.
That would be good.
Yeah, yes, that would be good.
What's the significance of the red print here?
The red print was my doing. Those are line items that we made changes to. So, and then, so we either added or took away. I discussed it at the last meeting, what those were. You'll see some of them have notes underneath them. For example, on the second page under seminars and workshops, I noted that I moved 1,000 of that to the mileage line. And then you see postage. So anything that was changed on those line items from last year are noted in red.
Okay.
Just so we would know.
Here's another question. So if we add things like mileage, things that are like personal expenditures, how do you guys go about getting estimates for stuff like that? What's the methodology that you use?
I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah.
Well, because this is an estimate, and this is the first time we're putting this in, and it's something
Oh,
that's,
for legal.
I'm assuming it's going to go through you because it's like a personal reimbursement. How do you guys estimate what that amount should be for the budget purpose?
So how do we pay it out, or how do we estimate what to put in the budget?
How do you estimate what to put in the budget?
I would historically look at what the line has been spent previously, and essentially if there are expenses we're aware of. By expenses, I mean conferences that you travel to, and then we look at the IRS reimbursement rate and go from that. Where that doesn't qualify under the default budget, we historically have not increased it unless it's been overspent. Or not significantly, but historically. And then we utilize that as part of the reason for requesting the increase in the operating budget. But
Okay.
it would not be from default unless it was approved the previous year.
And do you have any type of policy around that?
For mileage
For
reimbursement,
mileage and like other types of personal expenditures?
we use the IRS mileage reimbursement.
That's the amount, but I mean, do you require like a report? Do you have a guideline?
We require historically it's dated now, but MapQuest of the trip.
Google Maps. Yes.
Google Maps, MapQuest, something like that to verify, as well as if there was a conference, you have to state what conference it was or what the purpose for the mileage reimbursement was.
So we fill out a check request form that has that information on it, and then attach a Google Maps map with mileage on it.
an agenda or something for if you go to a conference?
We just list the location of the date, location of the conference, and the mileage to and fro. Or if you were going to another, if you had two, sometimes they could include two on the same check request form, two different, but yeah, it would be that.
So does the mileage include the gas, or is the gas separate?
The mileage is the gas.
The mileage is the gas,
It
okay.
includes everything.
So,
It's the hours.
It says travel and mileage, what else would be,
If you have to stay at a hotel,
okay.
that's pretty much the
Yeah.
only thing I do.
Tolls.
Tolls.
Tolls could be tolls, hotel, or mileage.
Okay.
Your few.
Yeah.
Anything probably involved with travel, I would think.
It does not include food.
Right.
Food, you are on your own. A lot of times the conference will include the food, so that's a plus.
Go to those.
Yes.
Do you have any policies around that either that say there's limits or?
At this point, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
We ask you to use reason and common sense to an extent. And essentially, if you don't, you have to answer to me being very unhappy with the fact that you did it and taking away your credit card as well as various other things if I feel it's inappropriate.
And in the end, if any of my staff do go to any sort of meetings, conferences, or things of that nature, usually I'm aware of it beforehand, and so I can take a look at that budget and say, oh, we just can't afford it. Like, for example, this October is NELA, which is the New England Library Association Conference. We can't go because we're going through the consortium transition, but generally we would look at that and see how many people can go, and that depends on budget, staffing, keeping the library open. The first priority is making sure the library is staffed, and then we'll decide how that goes. So we really take a look at those, especially the bigger conferences, and see what the opportunities are.
I have a question on the maintenance and repairs. Building repairs, including paint, salt, HVAC filters. Wouldn't that be included with the town's?
Spindle maintenance?
Yeah.
It could be. We historically use external maintenance for more one-time items, not typical maintenance that should be an operating expense.
So the town wouldn't salt the sidewalks for the library has
Well-
to do it by itself?
No, the town does it. I don't know why. Why did
We have sometimes purchased it as
yes.
I'm assuming that
Extra
it's
for the
a standard,
staff,
yeah.
If it's after the company's already come to salt everything and it refreezes,
Yeah.
that's likely my guess on why.
I don't believe we purchased any last year, but
Does town hall have to do the same thing for themselves?
Yes.
Yeah.
So how was the $25,000 figure figured out on that? I mean, I know like public copier lease, the fire and alarm monitoring contracts, but how is the rest of the money figured out?
so that's like he mentioned, an historic look at what was spent and what is spent in that line. I believe we've gone over in that line, at least since I've been here. So we do need more in that line, but historically, that's where that number comes from.
So
the
it's
historic spending.
building repairs, it's a town building with the town.
So building repairs are mostly like interior. The town handles a lot of the exterior, but if there are repairs like
The toilet handles.
toilet handles, yes. Well, DPW did buy us our toilet handles, so I'm very pleased about that. But if we had to
How about
replace,
the wall for the mural? Repainting the wall for the
so
mural.
DPW did.
DPW did that too.
New window blinds.
If we had to replace window blinds or a tile in the floor or things like that, we would use our funds for that.
Okay.
We are very lucky that DPW is very generously help us a lot. And to be honest, that line could be a lot higher, but we have a very talented, very qualified DPW department that has helped us with those small jobs that we wouldn't, like normally you'd have to call a plumber to replace the toilet hanger. They've been able to do that.
So what did we pay last year?
For that line item?
Yeah.
Last year you paid
Oh, you can find it faster.
$25,716.08.
There you go.
On average, over the last 5 years, you have been over budget on that line by $4,100, $409.38.
How much? $109?
$4,109.
What was the first figure? What did you say we spent? Did we spend 35,000?
The first figure was 25,700, approximately. I think like 18 in there. Or something like
Yeah.
that.
71608.
And you said we've been over this line item for the last 5 years?
Historically, what I do is I take the average of what the budget's done over the last 5 years, and the average for the last 5 years is over budget by $4,100.
Annual average of
That's the average over the 5 years.
5 years. So if we had put
So-
an extra 1,000 in that, 26, then we should break even pretty much every year. No?
No, because if it was at 26 instead, you would have been over in 22, 23, but under last year. Because 22 and 23 looks like were the big years, where it was 12,000 and then 16,000 were over.
So you're saying that the vet said 25, it's a pretty good number to stick with?
That would get you guys, I'd probably recommend increasing it by at least 1,000 since
That's what was my point just now, to increase it by 1,000.
But I just didn't want you to think I'm saying that would
Oh,
put you under.
No.
It gets you closer to
Yeah.
what you're spending in that line.
That's my opinion. If we know we're spending that much every year, then to be, fiscally correct, we should be going for $26,000.
So
Rather
where-
than saying, oh, well, we just overspend, type of thing. We need to be financially responsible,
Of course.
I think.
So if, what did you say we had last, in the budget item last year? What we proposed, was it 25,000 as well?
I believe so, yes.
So if we paid the 25,716, where did the 716 get paid from?
It's a bottom line budget.
Bottom line,
So it
budget,
was
somewhere else within your budget.
Yep.
You underspent general expenses, office supplies, postage, electric services, so one of those lines.
So that money can be moved around?
It's a
It doesn't-
bottom line, so
yeah.
we overspend that one with the assumption that you are going to underspend another one.
Okay.
the money doesn't get moved, it just gets kind of covered by another line.
Okay.
So, would it be difficult to provide us with what these line items are? For example, police fire alarm monitoring contract, do you know roughly how much that is? For example, how much does it cost us for an annual boiler inspection, sprinkler inspection, et cetera? Because that might be helpful in us crafting this maybe a little more accurately. I don't know, I'm just asking.
I mean, we can get you those numbers.
We have to go through the invoices.
Yeah, we'd have to go through the invoices.
That's helpful.
Right,
I
don't you
agree.
think?
Yep.
Just for the maintenance line?
Yeah,
Okay.
because now that we're hearing we're over this line item for average for the 5 years by $4,000, then that tells me that we're not budgeting appropriately for this line item.
And I mean, it's one to keep in mind, the 5 years, 2 of them are escalating.
2 of them are what?
2 of the years are escalating the average.
Okay, I got it.
Because you look at it and one is 12,000, the other is 16. That's going to spike it significantly.
Sure, okay.
And it's interesting because those 2 years also include the COVID years, right? 22? There we go.
I mean, it would be July 21 through June of 22, and then July 22 through June of 23.
Yeah, because it's a COVID time.
year.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I do believe some of it was after we started a new HVAC contract, because when we
Right.
first started, they
didn't
did.
have one.
We didn't previously have one, and they noticed a lot of issues in the first year.
Yep.
That was very
That had-
expensive.
That had to be taken care of.
Yes.
And COVID or no COVID, you need
Yes,
HVAC
Sure, of
systems.
course.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's another one, HVAC contract and maintenance. It would be helpful to know what that figure is.
Well, and also, when you opened up, we had to put all the plexiglass up. So you had all the plexiglass and
Oh,
stuff that
right.
you didn't have before.
Sure.
So that was another expense that I'm sure came out of that budget line.
I think did it come out of that, or was it the ARPA funds?
I don't know. I know DPW again put a lot of work into making those for us, but I don't know what budget line.
believe they did
That was before.
give us,
The ARP money or whatever.
I don't think it was ARPA funds. I do think that we did pay for those, so that might have been because we put those in the 21 to 22. And we did have a significant amount of plexiglass put in compared to other departments, just for our
You have a
public
lot of
contract.
places that you have to
Yeah,
interface
because of
with.
our public service.
The other point is, I guess, if we added another $1,000 to that $26,000, unless you dropped the $1,000 somewhere, we're going to be asking for more than what was proposed at your subcommittee meeting. So if we were covering ourselves every year with the expenses, and we're not going to have the high COVID expense years, maybe we should just leave it at $25,000.
I don't disagree with you, but for me, it would just be helpful to see what these line items kind of, are.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Absolutely. And then we can make maybe a more informed decision. Because, I mean, you're right, if 25,000 is appropriate, then no problem.
Yeah.
But, if it looks like we're going to be over it or right up against it again, then we might want to Justin's point, go up a little bit.
And I mean, looking at this, your budget to actuals, 21 you were 8,000 under, and that was COVID. Essentially July through December you were shut down.
Yeah.
Sure.
Outside of that, in 2020, where it's again half a year, but you were $300 under, and then last year you were 700 over. So you're in the right ballpark, if that makes sense.
Well, that's good. Good to
What's
know.
the date of the budget presentation, the 2nd?
November 2nd. It's before our next November meeting.
Right,
So we either need to make a decision tonight, or we need to meet again, which is extremely challenging, schedule-wise.
What happens if you don't spend all the money? Does it roll over, or does it go, what happens to it?
Nope.
It lapses to the undesignated fund balance.
Okay, so it goes to the town?
To the undesignated fund balance, yes.
Which could be returned to taxpayers. Or not.
Well, we have to make some decisions.
We do
Unfortunately.
I didn't know if there were any other questions for Justin before we talk about the budget as the board.
I had questions on the books and periodicals, but I don't think that involves.
Justin? Okay. Yeah, we can definitely talk about it. I just didn't want to keep him if we didn't have any questions.
I don't have any that comes to
Okay.
my head at this point, but
Okay.
And you said that the postage, we overshot in postage last year?
No, we went under.
Under.
yeah.
Okay, you're under in postage.
I think so.
Yeah.
It was because of GMX and stuff.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Justin, for
Thank
coming
you,
tonight.
Justin.
We appreciate your time.
Okay, so. You have a
Do
couple
you want me
issues then to figure out.
Yeah, so essentially, like I said, tonight, we do need to, we don't, it would be nice if we had a vote to approve the budget so that Donna and I can prep for the November presentation. Like I had mentioned, our presentation to the town happens before our November trustees meeting. Traditionally, we've had time at the November meeting to discuss more. If we can't come to a conclusion tonight, we would have to meet again in October. And I believe there was only one date when we looked at our calendars that we were available. So,
All right, what is the date of the budget presentation?
November 2nd. It's a Saturday.
It's Saturday, that's right.
It's a high school gym?
It's at the town hall.
Are all those budget sessions done on Saturday?
Yes, along with the deliberative.
Yeah. So public.
Not the budget workshops.
No, the budget workshops are done.
Monday nights.
I think with town meeting. Yeah.
so can I ask a
So,
question on
yeah,
that?
of course, yeah. So I just wanted to let you guys know that.
So it says 10,000 increase from FY25.
Where are you? I'm sorry.
So the periodicals.
Yes.
So with joining the consortium, wouldn't that increase our availability of books where we wouldn't have to increase that?
Of course, if you'd like to.
So, somewhat. But we still need to have books on our shelves. Like, people are still going to want the latest and greatest. We're still going to have requests to fill. We also need to provide databases, which we do not get through the consortium membership. We're seeing that the cost of books are rising. Like, for example, buying one large print book right now, the list price is over $40 for one.
For one book?
Large print. One large print is over $40, hardcover. Granted, we get a discount, but it's not a significant discount. So those costs are rising, and we need to be able to pay them. And costs for databases are also up. We've already decided to cut 2.
Say databases, what are,
Which ones do we have?
yeah, like what are?
So we have, I can't remember, I
US
might not
major
remember all of
dailies.
them, but we have A to Z, which is basically our ability to offer patrons assistance with like a phone book, essentially. It's access to contact information for individuals, businesses. It also offers some like career assistance. It also offers some business statistical information. So like small businesses could use it to find new people in town, for example. So that one's really helpful, especially for providing reference service. We currently, not for much longer, have Ancestry. We are actually going to be cutting Ancestry. That is a database that can only be used in the library, which obviously limits a lot of people's ability to access it. We have consumer reports, so that provides direct access to all the information that Consumer Reports provides to be able to
Very popular.
purchase a new refrigerator, for example, and it also provides access to their magazine online. The other one that we are going to be removing this fiscal year is Heritage Quest. It's another genealogy database. That one can be accessed from home, but the usage, the trend in the usage, just we didn't feel that because of rising costs, it was worth renewing it. We offer Mango Languages, which is our foreign language learning database, so people can download the app to their phone, download lessons so that they're able to learn a new language. I believe it has more than 60 languages, and we're actually looking at adding American Sign Language as well, hopefully in the next renewal. The other one is Novelist. Novelist is actually not paid for by us right now. It's paid through the state library. And that is really important. It's our reader's advisory database, so that patrons are able to use it to find, the next great read compared to something that they've really enjoyed. But we also use it a lot at the reference desk when people are like, I need a new recommendation for this author. We also use it for cataloging purpose because it is a very accurate way to track series order. So for all those reasons, but it doesn't currently cost us anything. US Major Dailies is our newspaper database. So there are five big national newspapers that provides access to. Not only the current issue, but potentially dating back to 1980.
And those are full text, so
Full text.
if you need research.
And then the last one is Value Line, and that's our investment data database. The usage on that has been surprisingly high ever since we added it. We originally had access to Value Line as a print subscription, and it wasn't used a lot in library, but now that we've added the online access, it's steadily grown.
Can we get the breakout for that as well, in addition to the maintenance and repairs, just to see how much money is going towards the databases, the periodicals, and then the books?
Sure. Do you want like a percentage for each, or do you want a report of all of the spending in that account?
I think all of it would be helpful because $100,000 is a big number.
Okay. I will say it's going to be a lot to go through if you want every single expenditure.
Every dollar amount for every single.
Because it's
just there's $20,000 for the database.
Or like a category.
Okay.
Yeah.
Database, books, periodicals.
Right.
Yes.
I think that makes sense. Erin, what is the magic October date that you guys are available? It feels like maybe.
Yeah, I'm not right here.
Oh, hold on a second.
It's our time better served.
I believe it was, and this has a slight problem, but the one that we came up with was Wednesday, October 23rd. The problem is that this room we're not going to be using because we're storing books that can't be checked in while we're down. So if we have a meeting, it's probably going to mean having
We could be at
books in like this,
Surrounded by books.
being surrounded by books.
And at that meeting, we would need to vote on the budget. There'd be no flexibility on that. We have to be able to go to town. I'm sorry, Trish? Oh, the 23rd. We'd have to be able to go to be able to present our budget at our town, the November 2nd.
I'm available because I think that we just don't.
So we
really
need to guarantee that we're going to have a quorum. If we don't want to vote tonight.
I have a room for you if you need one.
Okay, thank you.
If you don't want it.
So there are no rooms here at all on the.
Well, this room is available, but it's just going to be full of books.
That's great.
Which
It's a library.
what we're surrounded with anyway, so.
So pull up a box and we'll.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Laura.
I mean, where does the library of things fall in these categories?
Under books and periodicals.
It does fall under books and
Yep.
periodicals, so library of things is under that?
Yep. It's,
Break that out too?
Yeah.
sure.
So we actually have an existing document that I think we'll just make you a copy of that breaks down the spending for every material type. So
That'd be
like
great.
adult fiction, adult nonfiction, yada yada.
Yep.
Do you also have any idea of the increases in electric, heating, any of that stuff? Does it come from the town, or do you guys just guesstimate that?
Are you talking about
Utilities.
utilities?
Yeah.
We do not have idea of those increases.
We pretty much base it off of what was spent
Yeah.
the previous year. So if we went over in any line, then we would consider adding more. Or if we were
Or
aware
adjusting.
of a large increase coming,
Right.
it would need to be adjusted.
So the
So
23rd
have we
at 7 o'clock?
Well,
Yeah.
hold on. I think I want to know that the board wants to table this until that date, and I want to know what we need to do in order to bring to that meeting so that that decision can be made. It doesn't give us a lot of time to put data together, so I would like to say I can't guarantee we'll have everything that you're asking for, but we will try, because
Okay, well,
we
I will
can't
be
do
there.
it.
I can't speak for everybody else. I will be there, and I certainly would like to see a breakdown of line items in account number 630, maintenance and repairs. For example, again, if you have a dollar figure on what our HVA contract and maintenance is yearly, I'm sure that you do. I'd like to see what that is. You know, I'd like to see what our expense is for filters. If we have a contract with the police and fire alarm monitoring contract company, I'd like that. I mean, certainly we have an annual figure on that. You know, I'm guessing that if you clean the carpet several times a year, you can probably get us a figure on that. So for me, you know, some support in this particular account would be helpful.
Sure.
Yeah, I think basically how it's broken out, if you can provide figures for the building repairs, the elevator maintenance, the HVAC contract.
Yep.
So the 630 and the 670,
Yes.
are those the ones that we were most interested in getting a little bit more detail in, so we could better understand? Maybe not every single one of those things, but something as like a guideline?
Sure.
I would also like to see the general supplies versus office supplies.
So general supplies are for like book processing or material processing, where office supplies are, you're talking pens, pencils, paper, copier paper, that sort of thing.
So materials used by employees.
Yeah, but the paper used in the copier for patrons. So those two lines are different in that sense.
What about the 330 as well? Just some numbers on that.
So are you looking for just what was spent in the last fiscal year? Because we've already provided you with that.
Well,
Or are you looking for us to print every time we cut a check to a vendor?
No, I'm looking for like a categorical, this is what we spend on adult programming, this is what we spend on YA, this is what we spend on
In the management services? Okay, but I mean for supplies and processing, like all that's going to be is every time we order something from Quill.
Okay, I just was trying to
Or
understand
Demco,
the difference between the general versus office
Okay,
and what it included.
okay.
Do you get it now?
I do.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that before we move on.
Okay. But yeah, I agree with more about the 3:30. It would be helpful to see how that breaks out as well.
Okay, we don't want to make that much more work, but we want to be really efficient with our time when we're here that night, so that we.
Yeah, so we'll get those figures together for you.
Is it something that we could help do?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
6:30, I believe it was 6:30, oh, I'm sorry, 3:30, 6:30, and...
Time.
Oh, I thought you meant the line items. My apologies. So was that date, and what did we say, 6?
If that's the date, that's the date. If there's no flexibility, then we'll be here,
good.
right?
Yeah, the 23rd.
So 10/23 at, did we say 6:30? Or did we not have a time?
I didn't have time. I figured 7 since that's when you usually meet. but-
Yeah, we can do 7 or 6:30.
Can we start at 6:30? We're
That's
going
fine
to
by me.
hammer this out and get done with it.
23rd.
So that'll be the only item on the agenda for that evening.
So just by show of hands, can we see if everybody's going to be here?
I can't answer yet, so. That's a Wednesday, right?
It is a Wednesday.
Wednesday, the 23rd.
Well, you're asking for these items, so if we're going to present them for you, Maura, we'd like to have you here.
We really need to have like a quorum. Otherwise we
I will
can't.
make every effort, I just
we
don't
will-
know my whole schedule yet. So.
Well, I mean, I don't either, but I'm plugging this in, so let's get this plugged in so we can all be here.
So and certainly we'll reach out to Kim and let him know. 6:30 on the 23rd of October. Okay. Can I ask that, do you want to also table the warrant for the children's librarian position for that night as well? Or do you want to decide on that tonight and then?
I personally would prefer to defer it.
Okay, I just want to make sure because those are the 2 items that we had, so I want to make sure.
Expenses at once.
Yep.
Okay.
That's a good point.
Is
Yep.
it possible to get these breakouts before the meeting so we have time to look at it? So we're not looking at it with fresh eyes the night of in case we have any more questions?
So the one I know we can get, maybe even tomorrow, is the book breakdown for last fiscal year. I can send you that because we already have that document. The management service, the maintenance line, what we could do is send you just the transaction report that you can review ahead of time. In terms of us analyzing that for you, that's probably, I'm not sure what we're going to be able to get that to you far in advance. But we can at least get you the transaction report, which would list everything we spent in that line last year. And then management services, I would say we could do the same thing. We could give you the transaction report, but in terms of us analyzing it for you, I'd say I'm not positive we can get it to you ahead of time.
Okay, but you'll have the analyzed information for the 23rd?
meeting.
Okay, I think that's fair enough.
Does that work for you, Erin?
It'll have to.
Well, if we can get the transaction stuff, the sooner we get it, the sooner we can do
We
it,
can look at it,
analysis.
yeah.
and Analysis.
Will that be here? You want us to come pick that up?
And just, I should be able to email it to you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just to be clear, we're looking at FY24 numbers for the comparison. Okay. I just want to make sure.
Okay.
So we'll table both of those decisions for that meeting on the October 23rd.
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
Do we have to do a motion for that?
I think you just need consensus.
Yeah, I don't think we need a motion.
I don't think you need a motion for that.
I think it's something we need to do.
Okay.
But I don't think we're prepared to make these choices tonight.
All right. Let's do it. We want to change our motion.
So G-Milk's update, as you know, we're going live this month, added to the schedules. You'll see on the 17th of October, I gave you these calendars because they had the dates really obviously listed. October 17th, we will be closed in order for the transaction to happen. Just to be clear, staff will be here. We have a staff development day planned for that day. Since we'll be closed, we'll be doing a staff development day that day to take advantage of that time. So all the staff will be here on schedule. And then going forward from the 18th through the 26th, we will be open to the public our normal hours, but we'll have limited services. So obviously the library people can come in and use study rooms and computers and things like that, but they will only be able to check out. We can't check any items in at that time, and that's what will be stored in this room. We will have notary services, obviously, of those kind of things available, but in relation to the catalog, we will not have anything. So we also won't be able to do requests if people want to request items at that time. Yes, Jane?
So on these dates, I know that there was an issue with there was an issue expressed about the library being closed on Old Home Days by some town folks. So will this be signed on the outside of the doors
of course.
For the 17th and the
we
18th?
have
By 26th there'll be a some kind of a thing saying here's the story, or up ahead of time maybe you'll have something out, reminder on these dates.
So we have it on our online calendar. We also have a flyer with GMILK's information stating that we'll be closed that day. And obviously the other dates listed. So we have that, and there will be signage on the door as well. We've been really diligent about communicating to patrons as they check out or as we interact with them, letting them know, because we know it's a change, it's different.
Right.
But we're thankful that it's only one day that will be closed to the public. So we will do our best to communicate that.
Thank you. Just because I know that it just, we hear about it, and then, people are standing at the door or whatever saying, wait, where are they? I need my fix of whatever.
It was also in the newspaper too, so I saw that it was printed.
On that day, do you need any help from the trustees on the day that it's closed?
No, thank you.
Okay.
That's more of the staff development. We'll be doing some trainings. We're actually going to do a visit to the Manchester City Library, get a tour of that library as a staff, so that'll be good. So there's not much happening on that day as far as like what we have to do, I guess. It's going to be happening a lot behind the scenes,
yes.
And that's partially why we can't do any of the services related to the other days. That seems to be the same purpose. But thank you very much. Did you have anything else you wanted to add about the GMO's update?
I don't believe so. I covered mostly my report.
I know we talked about GMILKs originally. We talked about when in the transition phase that because there was a limited amount of things your staff could do at the same time. We talked about, are there things that we could do during that week time that when you guys are already stressed out doing all that stuff, is there something we can do as trustees that can help, can we come in to help on something? Is there something particular, like bringing the books down to here or whatever? Is there something we could do that would take some off your staff's meeting, your staff's,
Donna would like to.
I would say not in the way you're thinking,
Okay.
But personally, my biggest ask is that you either elect a secretary or pay a secretary. Because that is a huge chunk of time that I'm not able to dedicate toward this transition.
I have to say, Donna's dealing a lot with the GMILK's crew and staff. With a lot of, it's not as easy as like, just move their data over to the new catalog. Right. There is a lot of other things that have to take place, and she spoke of that a little bit earlier with the DVDs and all of that. Like, there's a lot of transition behind the scenes stuff that patrons will never even know about that Donna is doing, and also Megan actually with the staff. So, and it's taking up a lot of their time because there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of questions, because if you say to do this, then it affects this, and so forth and so on.
So run the report and you see it didn't come out in the right spots.
So there's a lot of stuff that's happening there, and the end result will be fantastic, but there is a lot of work for the staff prior to that, and also probably after, as we learn those kind of kinks and everything like that. So I would have to advocate for the same thing for Donna, for the board.
Okay.
As far as G-Milks, we go live on the 28th, which is a Monday. So that is the first day that we are essentially G-Milks Library officially, and you will have access to the new catalog. So that's going to be a big day. But we're excited about this, and we've. I did mention, I think the last time, or Megan, you might have mentioned, we mailed out postcards to ask people to come in and update their library card, which is an important part of the process. And we've had so many people come in, which we're very happy that the postcards are working and that mailing is working. But we've had, and I think you can speak, what was the percentage now? Because I got the update yesterday, so I'm sure there's...
So yesterday, it was 23.8%.
Oh, jeez.
Of increase in new cards.
So, and that's
in September only.
That's not only people who have updated their cards, but also I think people getting new cards who received the postcard, because we just say resident at that address, so they could be new members of the community who never got a library card. So it's exciting to see that increase in our librry card signups. So we're pretty excited about that.
It's been really great because it's family members coming in to get their new card, and then they're like, well, my spouse or my child didn't have a card, so they came too and want to get a card. And I don't know if you've been in to see this, but Erin's been jumping on the desk, the reference department's been jumping in to help.
They're very busy.
And on a Friday alone, I think we had like a good hour where it was just nonstop.
Oh, that was hysterical.
It was funny.
I was at Cirque, she was at reference, and then she helped someone off desk with reference, and the phone was ringing at reference, so I ran over there, and then she ran back on Cirque, and we were just doing this circle of, it was really quite funny, but also overwhelming, because of course Fridays are our short staff days, so so that's right now with our G-Milks update. Like I said, we're really excited to just get on board finally, and I know our patrons are, so I encourage you guys to speak to that as you hopefully attend town meetings and support the library budget. This is all part of that.
Glad it's finally here.
Yeah, I know. We thought it was so long ago, and now it's like, oh my gosh. So that's our G-Milks update.
All right, you ready for circulation policy? We good?
Sure. Oh, yeah. So we, in your packet, you have an updated circulation policy. You'll see the highlights throughout the policy of the changes. A lot of these changes, and certainly Donna can speak to this, because we worked on it together, is that it are related to us joining G-Milks. So when we joined the consortium, we want to make sure that our policy reflects that change, and that change to our patrons, so that they're aware of of the policy as well. You'll see a lot of it mentions G-Milks. The second paragraph there that speaks to the library does not restrict access. That language is exactly from our personnel policy. We want to make sure that it was matched. So I'm not sure if anybody has any questions. Certainly take a moment to take a look at it.
Could I request that we put this off to the next scheduled meeting so we have time to actually review it?
I'd say probably need a motion, and the majority of the board would need to agree.
I'd like to make a motion to put this off to the next scheduled meeting to vote to look at the circulation policy.
Scheduled meeting as in October 23rd?
If we have time, but I was thinking November.
The November meeting?
Regularly scheduled meeting.
The November meeting.
Can I ask one question pertaining to that motion? Should this be approved before we go live with G-Milks?
So there's parts of it that do apply specifically to us being live with G-Milks. Megan was just pointing out to me that the dates for overdue notices are going to change. because they have to. The system can't accommodate the way we're doing it now. So that is going to change whether it's in the policy by then or not.
It's something you need to do. That's
Right.
what- I don't want to restrict your doing, you know.
And then the change to the non-resident fee is a reflection of the huge service that we're adding by becoming a member of GMilk. So, I mean, that's up to you if you feel that it needs to be prioritized to be in line with when we actually join or not.
If it needs to be done before then, I'm fine with doing it on the 23rd.
Well, even
Well,
we're going to miss the goal.
Yeah.
Oh, no, the 28th.
That's before the go live.
Yeah, so,
So,
well, I would suggest if we don't do it, you know, tonight, it should definitely be done on the 23rd before you go live.
I can revise
23rd.
that to the 23rd.
I'm okay with this the way it is, so I don't have to have it.
And I'm okay the way
Yeah,
it is.
I don't
yeah.
have to have this.
Does the board want to take a vote on?
Yeah,
was there a second?
There wasn't a second. Yeah.
Oh, a second to, so we need a second for the 23rd date.
Christine, do you want to amend your original motion to put this off till the 23rd?
Right, yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
At the time. Okay. So,
With the time,
the board needs to,
the
I think
president
the
has
discussion has to continue.
Do we have a president that can be the time?
I will wait till the 23rd if we want to just do a quick review, but I want to make sure we're getting that in place for
I'm fine with the 23rd.
that.
I just wanted to add, there are two things we wanted you to consider that aren't actually written in here.
Yep.
One being that we've had requests previously for specifically to the non-resident fee for us to offer a senior discount. So that's not currently written in, but just consider if that's something that you do want. Aaron also had the good idea to combine that with veterans, so offer that discount to both veterans and seniors if you're going to do it.
So it would be a 50%.
Non-resident senior.
Right.
Yeah, so it'd be 50% off. I'm sorry?
What's the discount for?
So the
Because they're
non-resident,
seniors or veterans.
If it's a
I
non-resident
get money
card.
off of.
Oh, for non-residents?
that
The
would be
non-resident card.
that
The
would be up
non-resident
to you.
card costs $60 per year or $30 for 6 months. So if you were a senior or a veteran, that would only cost $30 per year or $15 for 6 months. And that would be up to the board's decision to include that as part of the option in the policy.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is that we have also had interest from the employees that are contracted by the school district to drive the buses. They are not technically covered by a free library card because they are not direct employees of the school district. So if you did want to extend the free card to them, we would need to include that in the policy.
Can you say the first part again? I didn't hear the first one.
Sure. So right now, who's eligible for a free library card does not include anyone that currently is like a bus driver for the school district because they're contracted by the school district. And we have had a couple employees interested in getting cards.
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
So something to consider at that October 23rd meeting.
Those two extra items.
Yes.
So could they be added to this?
They can if the board approves it, yeah, absolutely.
So it would just be per year for the card holder? And would we?
So it's on page,
Bus company?
on page 2 for non-resident, that's where we would put the senior and veteran discount would be included in that paragraph and with the amounts. And then the free, for the bus driver, it would be listed under the free library card, which starts on page 1 but then goes into page 2. We would list that information in that paragraph.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Right, but would we track it whether or not they continue to work for the bus company? If
I
it's
can
just
answer
a
Yep,
year?
Megan.
So as part of the new catalog, we have the ability to do an address check every year, which is what we have in place when we go into Polaris. And So every year they'll have to just verify their information anyway, like all card holders will. So at that point, we are able to verify that.
But if they don't live in the town anyway, and they're just getting a free card by being a bus driver,
At the address check, that's when they would verify that they still work for the town.
It's in their
Or the
record that
budget.
they work for the town.
They have to provide a pay stub.
Yeah.
okay.
So they would still do that each year?
Yes.
Yep. I'm sorry, Maureen, go ahead.
Just a quick question.
Of course.
Are there any policies that GBelts has that conflicted with policies that we have in place?
Not that I'm aware.
And is there anything?
In this?
Oh, fines?
Fines? Yeah.
No, that's up
Is
to
there
each
any
library.
conflicted?
GMILS has no control over our fines. That's up to each library.
The major difference was when we send out notices.
Yeah.
We send out notices for,
Page 4.
on page 4.
Sorry. I just wanted to keep everybody in the loop.
Yes, sorry about that.
Follow along.
Currently, we do, it's about 2 weeks overdue, and then a month overdue, and then we do 90 days.
Yes.
And Gmails, with the new catalog, we will only have the ability to do 7 days is the longest for an item. So after 7 days, you'll get sent a notice. After 21 days, you'll get sent the second notice, and at 40 days is when you'll get billed. And that was the longest I could push out to be as close to what we have. So that's the major difference, is when we're sending out the overdue notices.
That's just for like DVDs and not including books,
It
correct?
does include books because they still have a due date. So if they don't return them, they still get a notice that they're late.
But when they return it, they won't get charged a late fee.
You just need to alert that it's overdue.
Okay.
It's going to be-
Any item that gets checked out has a due date. It's just, it depends if it's returned late, whether it has a fine or not. So DVDs still have fines, books do not,
Okay.
but they all have due dates.
Okay.
So the question I have is,
Of course.
we talked about the increase in costs for books, especially hardbound books. And so I, asked about the $30 replacement fee. Is that enough? If it's an out-of-print book and it's a hardbound book.
And a large print book would cost
Yeah.
$40.
Yeah, so it's just, is it enough,
It says or.
We can certainly adjust it, but I would say $30 is probably a good average.
Okay.
Because paperbacks aren't as much, like it's somewhere in the middle
Got it.
instead, unless you feel strongly about charging like the most expensive.
No, I'm just concerned that, that sounds low for some books,
It is going to be low for some, high for others.
Yep.
So it's $30
It balances
for
out.
any type of book.
So the
Yeah.
standard replacement cost is only for items that we don't have a record of the original cost. So everything new, I'd say for a good 10 plus years, has the
You've got
cost
the
entered.
record. You've
It's
got-
like the old stuff that for some reason nobody entered a cost for, that we would charge a standard fee.
Okay.
Which is actually getting less and less as we weed and update the collection.
Right.
So there's probably very few of those items on the shelf.
Okay.
So do you charge original price or replacement price?
We charge the original. So it is possible that for us to replace it, it would cost more than what the
Yeah.
patrons paid for it. Yeah.
But we don't have any idea of that cost
No.
when we create the record and input the book.
Right.
So
And now you have even less time to do it.
We also do offer patrons to replace a damaged or lost book with a new copy if they think they can get it at a different price. We do offer that, and they'll be the ones to source it, but it would be a new book in new condition. So sometimes that patrons opt to do that.
It's going to be hardcover for hardcover.
Yes, it has to have the same ISBN and it has to be a new copy. And then it would be like an equal swap that way.
Okay, do we need to vote again?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like?
What are you voting for now?
Would you like to start again?
To vote to
Talk about this.
talk about the circulation policy and vote on it for the next meeting on October 23rd.
Second. All in favor? Aye. 4 opposed? Okay. Nancy? 1, 5, yes. Okay. Meeting recordings.
Donna would like to speak to this.
Just a quick update that as you voted on last meeting, the audio recordings will now be available on the cable department's website. The September 4th meeting recording was the first one. It has been uploaded, and the link is included on the minutes.
Could we discuss about getting the meetings actually video recorded?
Up to the board. That's up to the board.
So you make a motion.
Can I make a motion to discuss getting the meetings actually video recorded?
Do we want to tie
Tonight?
it into our board secretary discussion, since that ties into the minute issue, and
That's under new business.
can we wait and tie that into new business instead?
That's fine.
I think we should.
That's okay. Let's do that.
Okay.
We'll get down there on new business.
Do you want me to move on to new business?
Yes, acceptance.
So accepted of unanticipated funds. The Friends donated, I believe this is their second year in a row, the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum Pass for our patrons. That comes at a $225 value. We appreciate that donation from them, or that pass purchase. We also got a donation of $50 from Tim and Liz McQuaid. They donated it in memory of John D'Espo, I think I said that right, for that will be used for children's books or adult music, which was very generous and sweet. And we also have a donation from Old Hyundai, the DEI booth, that donated $750.
Nice.
Oh, very good.
They did very well.
So, and can we loop this all together for
So yes.
accepting it? Fine.
I believe that was donated with a specific purpose.
Yes, so that was to my knowledge, and I'm going to speak, we have a public, Beth, who actually was part of that group. Do you want to speak to that donation, if that's okay with the chair? Or vice chair?
So for that particular day, we had lots of people in the community come together to, put together items that could be raffled off and things that would make the booth. Everything was done with the public attention to the fact that we were raising funds to support Leach Library so that they could enhance their DEI collection. And, in conversations I've had with the community, we've always talked about how DEI is really so expansive of the community. And so there are many, many things that the library does to meet the needs of its patrons. And so specifying this money to expand the DEI collection really benefits all of the community. And there was an overwhelming drive for people to contribute in large and small ways, and we're so grateful because it was that amount of money that we were able to raise cash, and then there were many hundreds of dollars that went into creating this whole booth event. So Londonderry patrons are clearly so dedicated to everything you're doing here. So we thank you with that gift because you guys are amazing.
And so what was the amount?
$750. So I would like to say that thank you so much for doing that for the library. We certainly appreciate all donations. We do have in our policy that we can't accept donations based for a specific part of the collection. Well, I shouldn't say that because the other donation was children's book, but I'm comfortable, if it's okay with the board, to accept the donation to purchase items with DEI, of course, in mind for children. Now, that was my other question, because you did not say focus on children's or adults.
Because we don't want to micromanage your job. So if it meant large print text, if it meant anything.
So I would like to ask the board if it's, and you of course, if it's okay if we accept that donation to purchase materials for the library collection as a whole with DEI in mind, and to kind of see where that if we do have holes in certain areas of the collection related to that, if that's okay.
I have a question.
Of course.
This is my question, and this is just, I want to know this before I vote because I want to make sure that, this is the thing. I know we had talked about, or you had talked about not endorsing certain things. And with her being a candidate running for library trustee, do you have any issues with accepting funds?
She's not donating from her personal, she's donating from the DEI.
She organized it, and it could be perceived that way, so I'm asking if you have an issue with it, because I'd like to know that.
Isn't that what the Friends of the Library do though? I'm confused.
Well, she's not currently running for
It's not
trustee,
mine,
so I don't,
It's just money that people
like it's,
in the
yeah,
community
other people
offer,
donate it.
and
It's not her money.
yeah, it's not.
So, I mean, that certainly the end result is up to the board.
It's under your name, and you use your page to advertise it, so.
But wouldn't people I'm confused because people raise money for animal shelters, and I'm a patron of the library, I'm a member of the Friends,
Okay, then
I'm confused.
I will say this, I think there has been a lack of consistency as far as what constitutes an endorsement with fundraising, and I think we need to work on that as a board moving forward.
So, yeah, sir.
I personally would be most comfortable if the donation were earmarked not towards a collection, because it's opening up the door for anybody to want to donate funds to sway the collection in any direction. I instead would like to look at it more as if large print were an area that you're comfortable with putting the donation toward, that leaves the ability for the staff to still develop the collection as they would normally, but it gives us more funds towards large print, for just as an example. It could be more broad, just adult books or children's books.
So it's a general donation versus a donation
specific
with
collection.
DEI
Well,
in mind.
that is really what the policy says, is that we,
Right.
that's the.
It should leave room for the staff to do their job the way they normally would, is my.
It opens the problem with special interest groups. And I think there should be plenty of diverse information here in the library because it's a large section of our population. But by the same token, if that's not being addressed, then we need to talk about that. But to accept funds specifically, then what happens when I'm a fan of Adolf Hitler, I forget the guy's name, Hitler, and I want $2,000 worth of books on Adolf Hitler. You know what I mean?
Am I able to come and speak to that?
That's up to the chair.
I think, yeah. Quick.
I don't want to muddy the water. I am confused though because as a trustee, the first item of your list of duties is to support the library's obligation towards diversity, equity, that kind of thing, and access to things. So, right. So I think sometimes people hear diversity, equity, inclusion, they think LGBTQ, and I think that's what we're kind of speaking to here without saying it. And that sounds like we forgot that the library provides diverse, equitable experiences for their patrons, and it doesn't mean LGBTQ. It means large print. It means print in multiple languages. It means having a table that someone with a wheelchair can access, and it means all of those things. So it's not about me, and it's not about LGBTQ, but I just want to make sure that part's super
So
clearly
you're
understood.
comfortable that it wouldn't be just LGBTQ?
Yeah, no, it's not.
Your
It's not a Trojan horse. It's $750 that the town. It was so open. It was very public. It was very transparent. Help the library, help you, help the patrons.
I think Donna phrased it really well.
So
in terms of how we
Yeah.
as the
Mhm.
professionals.
It's how the library sees
Right.
fit to use it.
Yep,
Right.
it's not buying copy paper, it's buying materials
So
for the
just to
library.
be, oh, sorry, Jan, go ahead.
So just for your information is we've had discussions in the past where donations have been either made or we've had discussions about a possible donation or something where there's been discussion about
Yes.
not wanting to appear to be endorsing
Yes.
a particular viewpoint on anything.
Yeah, and it's not. it's
And
making
so
it-
so that's the reason for it. It's not
Yeah.
that we're questioning your
I get that.
the question is just that, we've been trying to make sure that it's open to everybody, but that the rules are the same for everybody.
But literally
So-
taking Beth Baracco out of the equation, the library trustees are guardians of the library's ability to provide a diverse, equitable, and inclusive experience for all their patrons. So literally, I
Right.
just drop a check off, but it has nothing to do with Beth
Yeah.
Baracco, because it's not me. It's the library just being able to buy things.
So is I guess the question I have for the board and is we would be accepting this $750 donation to be used toward the library collection in all children's, young adult, as the librarians for those collections see fit to use it. Is that how the board would like to?
Christine just said that.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I just want to make sure I understand that's how the board wants to
Yeah, and
accept
I
the donation.
didn't ask the library to
Okay.
itemize where the money go.
Okay.
Like, I just,
Yeah.
the community trusts you. Like,
Okay.
they said, here's our money.
So let's make a motion that says that and outlines these. Nancy, you're so good at all these letters and
Oh my
numbers.
God.
Letters and numbers.
Do we have to, you want them individually,
Do we
right?
do them individually or can we do them together as one?
I think
Listing
they
them
have-
out.
We typically do the motion all together.
Yeah, we typically
You
do
can
do it
separate it.
together, but
It's
yeah.
10:25, right?
Okay, so we're doing these, we're not doing them individually, we're doing them together, but you want me to read
Yes,
them all?
Jan.
That's
Is that what the?
Sure.
All right. Madam Chair, I would make a motion that we accept the unanticipated funds under RSA 202-A:4-C and RSA 202A:4-D. And those unanticipated funds are: Friends donated Isabella Stewart Garden Museum pass of $225. Tim and Liz McQuaid donated $50 in memory of John DeSopo. Did I say that correctly?
I think so.
Okay. For children's book and adult music, and Old Home Day DEI booth donated $750. And that's my motion.
We'll second it.
Don't make me
Jan,
say it.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I just would like to say we are thankful and grateful for all the donations that come in to help to support the library's collection or experience for our patrons. We certainly appreciate it. We know people have a choice of where they want to make those donations, and we're thankful that people think of us, especially in memory of somebody, or a lot of times we've gotten them, as a new baby, anniversary, things like that. So we appreciate that, and we appreciate the efforts of the community donating as well. So thank you.
Thank you for that clarification.
I'm sorry, I missed the vote. Was it 6-0?
It was 6-0.
Okay, thank you.
And it looks like we're going to have some summer meetings.
Well, that's up to the board. So the next item on the agenda is a summer board schedule. It was mentioned, I believe, at the last meeting to potentially think. Generally, the board does not meet in July and August. We have no meetings during those months. It was brought up at the last meeting to potentially have those meetings during those months. So I just presented this meeting schedule with what those would look like. They're in the highlighted dates, of course, so it would be July 2nd would be added and August 6th would be added, and that would be up to the board. There's always the option of only meeting July and leaving August with no meeting. That's also an option, or keeping it the same way it is. That's certainly up to the board, but I just want to present the dates.
And I guess one of the things that I agree that possibly we should meet. One of the things that I know that not this year, not this past summer, but the previous summer, there was a need to get together in July because of what was happening with the budget and needing to make sure that the money was spent, so that we were spending the money instead of them spending the money. So, so that's, because that could happen again. We could get at the end of the budget year.
As far as our I think, and certainly you can cut me off if you'd like, but I think our take on meeting over the summer is we are fine with it. We do find that the September meeting, because we don't meet for 2 months, is
It's really long,
overwhelming.
yeah.
It's long, and it's a lot for us to put together. And, there are times where, in that case, like you mentioned, Jan, that we would like to have, maybe need a vote on something or something like that. And so to wait to September or to call an emergency meeting is a challenge. So I think from our perspective, and certainly I know it's up to the board, we would be fine with adding those dates.
My only concern is, are you going to have a problem with quorum, getting a quorum? Especially you're looking at July 2nd, you're looking at basically,
Fourth of July
the
weekend.
July 4th week, type of thing. I'm concerned that, I can't guarantee you that I'm going to be in town those dates, you know what I mean?
I totally understand that, and I think you could say that for any meeting. We could
Yes,
have a risk
yeah.
of a quorum. That would be something that the board would have to, I guess, manage and deal with at that time.
It is common, because that's July 4th, to shift it to the week after, which might be better,
And certainly we can do that, absolutely.
just for that 1 month, since it's not a normally scheduled
It'd be
meeting.
July 9.
July 9. I think that's
So I guess we need a motion to re-add the dates and then adjust the July date from its normal first Wednesday to the second Wednesday.
I'll make a motion to include to include a July and August meeting for the board, and to change the July meeting to the second Wednesday due to the conflict with the 4th of July.
And I'll second it.
May I ask just for clarification, are you saying going forward or just for 2025?
I think for 2025, I think it's one of those things we have to discuss as we go,
Okay.
as we go through.
Okay, so motion by Jan, seconded by Liz. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so I will update that meeting schedule and put it in next month's packet, just so everybody has it down. Picnic tables, you'd be happy to know, they have been arrived and they're out back. And again, I want to thank DPW for putting them together. Very appreciative of their skills. I also want to thank Jan. She had reached out to Kim and I believe, on a suggested vendor to maybe save some money on the picnic tables, which I explored, and we were able to get 2 picnic tables for under the $2,000 cost that was approved by the board. The cost came to $1,860.39. I was also able to save $87.90 by finding a promo code online. So that was really cool. And I think they look great. I've sat at them a few times. I know Megan has. We saw some patrons sitting today. I do want to make a note that the reason I think the ones that I was the one that I was recommended was some more expensive was due to the surface of the table was completely flat and solid, where these have holes in them, which is absolutely fine. And actually, after talking to Dave, are much better because of when snow melts, it'll go through and things like that.
Instead of
So
just building up.
I appreciate the input from Dave and, of course, the board's thoughts as well. So they are out there. There is one that's ADA compliant and one that's a regular picnic table. So I encourage everybody to go use them. And next spring, I will look into purchasing umbrellas for them because it is quite sunny out there when the sun is shining. But I encourage the staff to, both patrons and staff to use them, and I thank the board for that partnership.
Okay. Veterans Day display update.
So Donna and I are both going to speak to this. Do you want to go first? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So after our meeting last month, September, I reached out to the Historical Society to see if they might have anything that they could build a display upon for Veterans Day in our display case. And they were very interested and actually applied to use the display case for November. They shared with me that they have an original letter from a Civil War
Very cool.
soldier.
Oh, that's very cool.
Writing to somebody back home, I believe. So they're really happy to display that, and they're putting together some other things to have in the display case that month.
Great.
So that will be there. That's my part.
And then in addition to that, we will have the large main table that's right in the beginning there. That is going to be split for two displays. One for the election. We'll be putting out materials related to that. And then the other part will be Veterans Day. So that could include books, movies, books on CD, anything of that nature. So those will be used for that. And I
Pulling
believe
those together?
Yeah.
you're welcome. And I believe the Children's will also be doing a small display related with coloring sheets and other books as well. They don't have as much space as we do on the adult side, so she'll be doing her best to put those materials out.
Oscar can,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oscar can have a little sweater.
A Veterans Day sweat. Do you want me to? So the next topic was board secretary. This was brought up, I think, softly at the last meeting. But I know Kirsten was here last time and mentioned some opportunity or a possibility of a person that the board can pay for to take minutes. So I don't know if you wanted to speak to that.
Yes, sorry.
That's okay.
I just actually got an email from the person I was talking about, so I was just looking at that because I was having some problems. So yeah, so the town of Londonderry, the town actually uses a recording secretary for its land use and now town council, at least temporarily, meetings to do the minutes. We contract with a woman named Beth Hengali. She is very familiar with all the requirements for minutes, including the 91A, identifying people who make the motions. She's very flexible, extraordinarily timely. And I emailed her today to see if she had bandwidth to do these, and she is happy to take you guys on as well. We pay her $18 an hour. That would come out of the trustee budget, and we can figure out the paperwork end. Usually, I want to say conservatively, minutes take 1 to 2 times the length of the meeting to do. At least one time, I would budget in your consideration 2 times the length of the meeting.
So just as a question for I don't know if the board has any questions, but so would she be present at the meetings? We would just give her the recording. Yeah. And are there any requirements on our end that have to change for her to be able to get it right?
I would say it would be easier if you even just had a video recording, like the camera. Is that your camera that you have set up there, or is that no? Is that yours, Richard? Yeah. Even if you did something like that, it would be a little bit easier for her.
Okay.
She can do it from audio too. You just would have to do voice votes for audio.
Okay.
And that's probably not a bad idea anyway.
Yeah, so that would be the trick, is she could do it from audio. Minutes are not meant to be, Donna's minutes are like the best things I've ever seen in my entire life. But minutes generally are meant to record the major topics discussed at the meeting and the votes therein. So it could be one of those things where, with the audio recording and the minutes in conjunction, you can go back and reference. Okay. So she may have some questions. She'll work with you. She's very good. I've worked with her when Kirby resigned last year. Mm-hmm. I did one meeting, and then she took over for a couple of town council meetings while Cameron was getting up to speed. And actually, I stepped in. Before that, I did land use boards briefly, but it's a lot, and it's a lot of work, and she nails it. So I know firsthand how difficult these minutes can be, but she...
Can you spell her last name for me?
H-A-N-G-G-E-L-I.
What's the last name?
Beth. H-A-N-G-G-E-L-I.
I tore that last. I tried to spell it. It does not turn out the way it was supposed to.
The one thing that we always run into with the counselors is motion by motion. So when somebody makes a motion, I encourage the chair to be tell me, be motion by Nancy, second by Maura, all in favor. Aye. If it's unanimous, you just repeat. Vote is unanimous. If it's not, you repeat who voted which way. and then she can record in the minutes how each person voted, if you so desire that.
I do think it's a good idea, as Jan's saying, we should get in the habit of doing that anyways.
You don't always need to have a roll, you can just
Right.
announce who.
Yeah,
different-
Aaron speaking, or
Yeah.
is that kind of what you're looking for?
I mean, I don't think you need to do that before
Okay,
every
okay.
single thing, because again, if you have the audio recording and the minutes coupled, then you have
Okay,
that record to go back to. And she'll get to know you very well.
Okay.
So, but for the important, the legal details that need to be captured, which is who makes a motion, who seconds it, how people vote. Again, it's not a legal requirement for you to have a roll call vote for everything, but some boards, particularly governing boards, do choose to do that. And then the topics that are discussed, an overview of the topics that are discussed, that's what's legally required in the minutes. But if you go look at any of the land use boards, Conservation Commission, Planning Board, Heritage, or ZBA, she does all of those. ZBA are probably not the best reference points. ZBA minutes are highly specific to their routine. But I would say Conservation Commission and Planning Board would be your best bets for looking at. They're two very different systems, but she adapted to both what those boards wanted, so they're even going to look different. She kept up the pattern of what they expected from the prior recording secretary.
Okay.
So.
I would like to make a motion that we engage a person to do the minutes going forward. I would like us to designate up to $1,000 out of the trustees fund to pay for that. And if I get a second, I'll explain why the $1,000.
I'll second it for discussion.
You gotta check state law first.
I'll second that for discussion.
So the reason that I had come up with the up to $1,000 is that it was at least twice the length of the meeting. Our meetings usually are a couple of hours. So if it's $18 an hour, a couple of hours, there's going to be between $50 and $100 per meeting. And we're talking about potentially 12 meetings. So I took a little bit off figured $1,000 should help. If needed, we can also, we can still designate someone as a secretary to be the connector person between the person that's doing the actual minutes.
And that is what many of the other boards do. They do designate a secretary, and then the minutes, the secretary looks them over and then officially is the one who presents the minutes. But the minutes are prepared, and she always writes at the bottom, prepared by Beth Pengele. She is an employee of the town, so she's an actual.
So how do the other committees actually handle the payment of that? Is it part of their operating budget or?
She submits a timesheet and is part of the operating budget for the planning department. Yes, at this point. And the town council line will come out of the town manager budget.
So if the trustees for the library accepted it, that would come out of the trustees' budget?
Well, we would determine where that comes out of, but I would
Well,
imagine.
I'm just asking, I guess, before we vote, so I can understand where that money would be coming from. And then, is there any type of rules that states what we could spend the trustees' money on?
So the motion is for the trustees account, though.
Yeah, that was the motion I made, was to come out of the trustees account.
And what's our trustee, what do we have for funds now, approximately?
$35,000.
So we're gonna be able to afford 35?
Well, assuming there's no other expenses we have.
So I second this because I did want us to talk about it. I think there might be more to this than we may be prepared to vote on tonight. I think this is a great idea. We talked about this. We've talked about this several times, and how detailed this is for you and how much time it takes. So I would like us to further explore this. Absolutely, get all of the details, and talk. And this is perfect timing because whether we take it out of the trustees account, whether we put it in the budget as part of staff payroll, I just think that we need to do this. I mean, unless you're absolutely convinced.
No, I can modify the
Motion?
the motion to include the vote on it at the meeting on the 23rd of
This is going to be a
October.
long meeting.
I know it's going to be a long meeting, but it's just, it would have to be
I went
rolled
up that
in.
to 1100 now. No, just kidding. Sorry, that was a joke.
It would have to be rolled in, so it's like, I think.
I mean, I'd be willing to talk about it on the 23rd, absolutely.
So that would be what I would modify.
You want to change your mind?
I would change my motion to add in, if that's all right with the chair.
I want to make you say the whole thing over again.
Blah, 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 on the
23rd.
23rd. To be voted on the 23rd.
Are you still seconding that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Donna has a question.
I'm just looking for some clarification on like what you're expecting us to come up with for that meeting, or if anyone else is going to be looking into it. I don't know if you want to check with the lawyer. I don't know.
I think we need to look at.
Like, what's our role?
What's our role?
Have we ever had a secretary? Have we ever had a secretary?
You would
Not, so I've only been here 3 years, so.
Then somehow, some way, we need to get some details on what that looks like.
I mean,
check with the town and their boards and see what
And we also need to
information
look
they
at
came
the
to see, you know,
RSAs.
legally covered.
I do recommend to reach out to the New Hampshire Library Trustees
There you go.
Association. They're a great resource that can answer those questions for you. I encourage you to take a look at your bylaws, see what they say. I don't remember exactly what it says, but
And as far as the minutia of how to go through it administratively, I'm happy to help with that. So because, like I said, she is actually an employee. She's a part-time employee of the town.
Okay, so who's going to look at the bylaws? Who's going to look at the NHLTAs?
Kim or I will do the NHLTA.
Good.
Reach out to them.
so is the expectation then at the 23rd meeting, October 23rd meeting, that a board member or two will come to that meeting with information regarding the secretary? There's no expectation for Donna and I.
I don't think you have to
Okay,
do
I
anything.
just want to make sure we're not missing our responsibilities.
Especially,
Yep, absolutely. And if you have questions as you roll along, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to, if you have questions about how it would work, because she's already a staff member, so yeah, maybe you put the money into Erin's budget instead. I don't know. It's whatever you guys decide. But all I know is that she's awesome and she's willing to do it. This is something that she's basically a professional in.
I'll be happy
I
to
have-
look at the RSAs.
I do have a question for you. If we don't vote on this till the 23rd, is she going to be able to produce the minutes in like within a week or something?
She
of
can
our
produce,
next meeting?
so the legal requirement is within 5 business days. As far
Okay.
as I know, she is incredibly timely with the production of that.
So we're not going to have it within 5 days of this meeting?
No, she wouldn't do this
No,
meeting
she
because
can't do
we
this
have
Okay,
it.
so
we
is she
haven't
going to do the
Yeah.
one more meeting?
Well,
Yeah.
I think it would probably be this meeting and the next meeting because
Okay.
you guys have to decide at the next
Okay,
meeting.
so
Exactly.
Or that
hire a
October 23rd
secretary
meeting.
It would start in
comfortable
November.
Of carrying through until the transition? Oh, not really.
I'm
I can
saying,
tell.
so I can't guarantee that I can meet the legal requirement, because when you look at the calendar, that is, we're in the middle of GMILK stuff.
I know.
So I'll get the minutes done, but it can't be my first priority right now. It's my response.
I will offer to do the minutes of the next meeting,
Okay.
if that'll be helpful, because that's right at your crunch time. Not that it's not all crunch time,
Yeah.
but,
I will say also, if you voted to have her do it, she would be able to take it on and from that recording. So that is entirely 100% up to you.
okay.
So, yeah.
Jen does a really good job. You might get the job.
Careful what you wish for, Jan.
That's so true.
So yeah, so that's where we
Depending on
stand.
our research, someone better do the bylaws.
I can do them.
Okay. Okay, doesn't-
Can we just do a quick, that's the last thing on the agenda, but I was hoping we could just do a quick review of the things that are expected. So I'll start with my notes, Donna. So we're going to meet on October 23rd at 6:30. At that meeting, we're going to discuss the budget, FY26, and obviously hopefully approve it at that meeting. We'll also be discussing the children's position that's related to the FY26 budget to decide whether that's going to go to a warrant and what that looks like. And then the secretary for the board to hire a secretary for the Board of Trustees meetings.
I think that may also require a revision to your bylaws. I mean, you may find that the secretary position's responsibilities will need to be changed in your bylaws as a
We need
result.
to assign a secretary either way.
Right.
Probably.
But it depends what the bylaws say about that. Like, does it say that the secretary has to be a board member?
Yes.
We don't. So then I just wanted to review everything that we need to bring for
The start policy as well.
the CERC, yes, the CERC policy at that meeting as well, yeah. So there's 4 agenda items at that meeting, is that correct?
What's the third one, the fourth one?
Circulation policy, budget for FY26, children's position, whether that goes to a warrant or what that looks like, and then the secretary for the board. Am I missing anything for that meeting? I'm sorry, Maureen.
No, not for that meeting.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure I'm getting that agenda correct. Okay, and that's at 6:30 on 10/23. Okay. And Jan, you will do the minutes for that meeting. Okay. I just want to make sure I have that info correct.
Unless she jumps in and wants to take over. If we vote the money, you know,
Okay.
I'll bring my computer and start typing.
Was there anything else that needed to be discussed?
I have something
yeah.
under new business. So I got a notice from NHLTA that said under 202-A:12-A, we're supposed to be filing reports. Have we been filing reports to be compliant with that?
Filing reports of what?
So that has to do with annual reports of any public library holding funds.
So
Shall
we-
report to the Office of the Attorney General. Are we doing that?
So we don't have any, so that actually came up at department directors meeting. And I believe, to my understanding from another director, there were certain, and I apologize because I don't have the notes in front of me. I can look into that and make sure I have the language correctly, but because that person who handles those did reach out to all the library directors, and I believe I emailed her back to confirm what was needed, but I can follow up on that because I don't have the info in front of me right now, but I will follow up with that. And can you give me that number again for that you read off? I'm sorry.
202-A:12-A. And
202-A:12-A?
Yeah, and
Okay.
202-A-12.
202-A-12. Okay.
I don't recall seeing anything like that, and if we do have stuff like that, I would like to see a copy.
We do an annual report every year that goes into the town annual report, and then that has all of our account information. But if it's something else, I will certainly find out about that. And I'll find my notes. I apologize. I didn't expect it, so I didn't have it. But. Was there anything else for discussion?
I actually had, so are we going to discuss assigning a board secretary tonight for the trustees? Or are we going to put that off?
I thought that was going to be at the October 23rd meeting.
Well, she means a board member to oversee it.
Kind of like,
Oh, that part. I'm sorry.
Regardless.
Misunderstanding.
we can. Anyone like to nominate themselves or others?
Did you have someone in mind?
I can't personally do it for the rest of this year.
I think the trustee vice chair should do it.
I'll second that motion.
Can I have 2 jobs?
I don't think so. I think it's just one, yeah.
Probably not.
I mean, all you have to do is present the report from the hopefully for the person we're hiring.
So it says, recording secretary shall keep a true and accurate record of all meetings of the board, provide a copy of the minutes to each board member, place a copy of the minutes in permanent records at town hall with the town clerk, and maintain the trustee file at the Leach Library, which should include trustee minutes, librarian reports, and board-related materials. In the absence or ability of a secretary, the duty shall be performed by any other member that the chairperson shall designate.
We'll leave it up to him.
I mean, I don't know if it's possible, but to have at the beginning of every meeting, the chair designate someone, it seems complicated, but I don't know if that's an option.
I think it has to be, it's supposed to be voted in with the chairperson, the vice chair, and the secretary after
Oh, I see
the
what you're
March
saying. Yep.
elections, yeah.
But the bottom line is that if someone were to move or resign their position, we could appoint somebody to fulfill a job at that point. Since we haven't had a secretary, I would think we're now trying to fill something that we're lacking. So I don't personally think that it's a conflict for us to be talking about doing it now. Because I think that we can do it because we haven't been meeting the requirements of our bylaws.
In state law.
Are you asking, just so I understand it, because if, as a backup to the person that potentially will be the hiree, or are you asking for?
A board member needs to be assigned.
To be secretary, but then be assigned to do the paperwork.
Okay. Now I understand.
Manage the person.
The other
who's
side.
doing the recording.
Okay, I got you.
Is that not correct?
Yes. Yep. Liz, are you able to volunteer for that?
Everybody's pointing their fingers this way.
Well, I cannot do it this year. I could probably do it next year, but I can't do it for the remainder of this year.
I mean, it's not that
This is why we don't have a secretary.
I'm not willing to do it. Maybe I'm not sure what I would have to do. Someone could help me get on the board.
We need to
That's
try
all I'm
this
asking, I guess. Does that make sense? I just want to make sure that I do the
So
proper.
it's this section right here.
This section right
Yeah.
here, and this outlines 3 things.
Yeah. So,
So
Let's
Liz,
go for it.
I'd be happy to walk you through.
okay, thank you.
I can help with that too.
Yeah, and then, the contact with the person that I'll be dealing with, yeah.
Assuming that that's what we decided.
Yeah, it's an episode.
So can I make a motion to elect Liz as the library secretary or the trustee secretary?
Sure. You need a second?
Second.
So,
Whatever.
motion by Christine and seconded by Jan. All in favor of electing Liz as our new secretary? Aye.
Not in favor? Oh, yeah, we can't do that.
Let the record show.
I would be pleased to fill that need.
Well, I would like to say thank you to move forward in this, because I do feel strongly that Donna's job is not supposed to be the secretary, and she has done I've only been here for 3 years, so I've seen a lot of meetings, but I was not here prior to the other meetings. But just since I've been here, I know Donna has done an incredible job, and it is an enormous amount of time that takes for her to do the minutes and everything related to that. So I appreciate and applaud Donna for taking that role on in the meantime, and I thank the trustees for moving forward with having a secretary that's not Donna or anyone else at the library, because it is really not our role to do that.
I had a couple other things. I guess motion for discussion for the board to receive paperwork minimum of 7 days in advance of any discussions that need to be made at a meeting.
So I had a question. I know you sent that in email. Can you elaborate on that, exactly like what you're looking for?
Well, just for example, for today, the circulation policy. If we had that like a week ago, I would have been prepared tonight to vote on it. So anything that needs a decision, whether it's, we need money for X, Y, and Z, this is the supporting documentation for it, just to have that information ahead of time to review, so it's not, okay, you have 5 minutes to decide how you want to proceed.
I'm okay with that. 7 days is a little tough. I know I think only once I haven't been able to get the agenda out on a Friday, but I usually send the agenda on a Friday so that people have time to.
What's that?
Is the Friday before?
So then you have the weekend plus Monday, Tuesday, essentially Wednesday to review it. Is that acceptable as a compromise? If there are any supporting documents to be sent out on a Friday?
Does anyone have?
I mean, that's only Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday,
My
Tuesday,
request-
Wednesday. That's 6 days in
My
advance.
question is, so what is the legal requirement for when the agenda has to be posted to the public?
24 hours.
24 hours.
Okay.
So we send the agenda out
So-
well in advance.
So we're okay if it's
Yep.
Friday. Was like what I wanted to.
Yep. And it would be giving you 6 days instead of 7.
I think that's a reasonable request.
I think that's okay.
Are you okay, Christine, with that?
Yeah.
I mean, there will be moments, like if we're waiting for a quote from a vendor, that may happen, but we do our best to try to get all that information prior.
I think it's
So
really
I will,
important when we have multi-page.
of course,
multi-page changes.
I totally understand that.
Sometimes it's just there's just a couple of changes, but it's still it's helpful to have it. And I know that like other boards or the select boards, they get they have a packet that they get ahead of time so they can do that and come in.
So just to clarify, I'm sorry, did you want to? Oh, I thought you had. Just to clarify, so we'll send the documents. Is it email? Is it print and email? Because keep in mind I'm fine with either, but if it's print and you're not picking it up until the day of the meeting, that's not on us. That's on. So I would prefer email, but everybody's got to make sure they're checking their emails regularly to look for those documents. Is that okay?
I'm comfortable with the email with it being put in our folders,
So you want a print and an email, or because I'd rather have a consensus with I don't want to do one person print an email and everybody
no.
I'd rather have a consensus. So if I just want to make sure I'm getting you the documents that you need appropriately and you're able to see them. So I'm just asking the board what they would like in that case, because we're printing them out also for the meeting potentially, so that is a lot of printing and that relates to a cost.
Okay.
So if we're looking at
a printed copy by the day of the meeting.
You'll have a printed copy at the meeting.
Okay, that's fine.
But ahead of time,
I'm comfortable with
when
that.
I send it out ahead of time, is that just email?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
that
fine.
sounds great.
I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Yep.
And I think that's something that we need to update in our bylaws too, then. Just to note that that's in there.
Which thing?
That's,
Say it again. So which thing do you think we need to
Page
update?
4 in the bylaw.
no, it's not in there at all. I'm just saying that's probably something that does need to be recorded in there though.
I'm not totally sure that would be appropriate because I feel like the bylaws speak to the board's responsibilities, and in this case, it's a staff responsibility.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it really depends on what, right? Because if it's the minutes, it's going to become the secretary's responsibility, right? Because that's what it says.
Well, the secretary should be sending out the minutes within the legal. So this is a little different. You'd be getting the minutes far sooner than the next meeting's supporting documentation.
Right, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true, because that has to be done. Got it.
And then the other thing I wanted to bring up was what the town council has a counselor privilege, where they're able to put off any decisions for a month. I would like to have the library trustees adopt, I guess, a trustee privilege to basically do the same thing where to put off a decision or a vote for the next scheduled meeting.
For what reason?
Just to get more information.
Well, can't you guys do that now? I mean, we did that with the.
We just
We
did that.
did, but I
4
think
different
that's,
things.
again, I could be wrong, but I thought that was something that would need to get, I didn't know if we had to vote on it, just so to make it clear that we do have that option. And also, I don't know if that's something that needs to be in our bylaws.
Kristen, did you want to?
Do you want a description of what counselor objection is?
Sure.
And how it differs from what you're doing? So, counselor objection is something that's written, into the town charter. Actually, did you get a chance to read over it? I can turn it right back over to Erin.
So in the town charter, and I got help from Kirsten on this, it's called council objection. And it states in the charter that on the first occasion that a question on adoption of, and I did not write this, so I'm reading the words that are written here. On the first occasion that the question on adoption of shall join in the objection, such postponement shall be until the next regular meeting. This procedure shall not be used more than once for any agenda item. So it would have to be voted on at the next meeting, and it can't be tabled again by another board member. It's the agenda item, which I feel that we kind of do now sometimes in some cases, but certainly, I don't know,
Yeah, and Kirsten, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like the council objection is more for one single counselor to move that item, whereas your bylaws right now say that you have to use Robert's Rules of Order, which would require you to make a motion to table something, and then the majority of the board has to agree to table it.
Yes.
So it's
the council
one.
does not use Robert's Rules of Order. The council uses
That's
their
right.
charter procedure, whereas you use Robert's Rules of Order. So it is entirely different thing.
And I also want to point out that there's a big difference between town council and the board. Town council meets far more frequently than the board does. So pushing something off for one meeting does not have as much of an impact as it would here, because you're pushing it off for at least 1 month. And then the other thing is that there are more of you. So having one person versus 7 put something off for a meeting is different than town council doing that.
And I hear what you're saying, but my concern, and I don't know if this is, Christine, if this was your concern when you proposed the motion, but my concern is that there are times when, let's see, it's not pressure, but that the discussion is such that you might be less tempted to make a motion to do that delay due to the passion expressed by you folks on a particular topic. Maybe, well, I really need this policy for the G-Milks or whatever. The thing about the counselor objection is that it gives somebody to be able to say, we need to just take a minute here. And it's kind of the minority still gets a say kind of thing. That's my take on it anyway, is that it still makes that discussion, because we don't know how each person is perceiving what's being discussed. If someone is uncomfortable enough to need to be able to say, I need more time on this, then I feel that I should, whoever needs more time should be able to get that time, unless it's something that legally we have to do today. Just from the standpoint that, we need to vote the way we feel, our conscience or whatever. So, I don't know if we need to change the
I agree with you, and I don't think that I myself personally, I don't feel like I need to have something that formal. I agree with you. I think that this board is thoughtful and respectful enough, that if 1 or 2 people say, you know what, I really got to process this and think about it, kind of like we did with the circulation tonight. I'm okay with it. I'm ready to vote. I voted yes, y'all voted or no, or whatever it was. I'm okay with that, know.
And maybe it's just the discussion we need to have tonight, is that we need to be aware that, people, we all come from different backgrounds and we all come from different, what's happened today may be horrifying for somebody and they can't really process something today.
Correct.
So we don't know. So just that we be cognizant, if we don't have that kind of a rule, that we be cognizant to try and hear the other story that might be there. So
I agree. I mean, right now, a perfect example is Kim. She has a family emergency.
Right.
So she may not be in the frame of mind at our next meeting to vote on, not our special meeting, but on the meeting. And I would like to think that we are all thoughtful enough and respectful enough to say, she's right, she just came back from a family emergency. I'm not going to make her vote tonight on that unless it's something legally that we have a specific...
that it has to happen.
Has to happen right away. So that's how I feel.
Does that discussion meet your requirement or?
Yeah, I guess as long as everyone's understands that and is okay with that. Again, I just didn't know if anything needed to be written into the bylaws about it to officially document it or vote on it.
I just want to make as a possible recommendation to the board. Maybe there might be an opportunity here to create a subcommittee with board members that updates the bylaws so that we could, because I don't know when the last time they were updated,
Well,
and
there's
been a lot of changes.
We're already going to make some changes with how we're proceeding.
I do think it's something that, I'm sure there's some things in those bylaws that are potentially outdated just because of time. So I recommend that the board maybe think about that. I think it would help.
You're not making this make us decision tonight, right?
No, I think it would be. No, not on the 23rd. Please, not on the 23rd. The agenda is full. I just think it might be a good idea because I know this has come up before regarding the bylaws. So I think it would be easier on everybody if we had an updated document.
I agree. Sounds good. Since we're trying to update policies as we go through.
Yes, we're almost done. And then we start all over. So that's, I think, the last item in the agenda. But if there's
Public comment?
Okay.
When you're ready.
All right, it is 9:45, so.
Business takes what business takes.
Do you have one?
Okay. I'll set my timer. Well,
If you guys really want to hear what's going on, because I've got more questions based upon tonight's meeting, it's a little
just
disturbing.
if you could possibly
I'll try.
consider, could you listen to me for 1 minute?
Yep, go ahead.
I'll wait.
No, go ahead.
Being respectful to the amount of time we've already been here and the time it is now for those of us that have to go home to a family
I've
and a
been on
job
board.
tomorrow morning.
I've been on boards before
I
too, and I've been
understand,
there till 1 in the morning.
It seems that you've come in really charged up tonight.
Well,
Just
because
asking
I've
you to
looked into
consider.
some of this stuff and it's disturbing, what I'm seeing.
Okay.
So let's start with the secretary. The secretary is required by law, I forget it, 202 something, I have it at home. They're the ones that take the minutes. They need to be elected by the board, not an outside person. Look into that. I think that's kind of what you were alluding to, Nancy. That's,
We already took care of it.
I know, but I'm
Yeah.
saying this is what I was going to bring up earlier before you even got to it. You talked, was it Jan or Liz talked about not having a quorum in the summer? The board should think about putting on alternates. You're allowed to have up to 3 alternates. Then you won't have to worry as much about a quorum. You can have up to 3 by law. That's another one of them. You're looking for money. Are you people aware you have 2 trust funds?
Yes, we are.
Okay. But nobody knows where the trust papers are. According to, I've talked to, you have the one from 1924 and 1926. You need the trust papers so you know what it can be spent on.
It's up to you if you want me to speak.
Okay, let's just.
We had a conversation on the phone about those trust funds. I am looking into that. I've reached out to the Department of Justice. I'm waiting to hear back. So that is in process. Once I have enough information to present to the board, I will do so and share that.
Maybe even the trustee of the town trust funds can help.
Absolutely. Yep.
Because, see, you've got 1,801 and 36 and 100 that's income that can be spent.
And I actually think there might be a third too, which I'm looking into.
If you find a third, let Justin know because he didn't know about
Justin
it.
told me.
Oh, okay, so he must have found it after the fact.
Yep. So it is a work in progress. I understand that it's not very quick to hear back from the Department of Justice. So it is a project I am working on, and once I have enough information, I will certainly
Well,
share.
they're also 100 years old.
Yes. And I don't know if we'll find anything, so we'll find out.
And the other one was kind of brought up by Kristen. I found it, Christine? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Information coming to the board members at a meeting and you're going to vote on it that night. That's not fair to board members. It's not fair to the public. It should be out whatever you decide for days ahead of time. Because I noticed that here today. I was, what do you mean? You're just getting it today? Justin was here to answer budget questions. He didn't have a copy of the budget. That's what I was speaking to him in the hall about. Go ahead.
If it's okay to speak. So regarding Justin, the board asked him to come to the meeting, invited him to the meeting. They had questions for him. There was no word from the board what type of questions those were. So I did my best to say that it could be about this, it could be about that, but I did not get any guidance from the board on what they wanted to ask Justin. So aside from that lawyer, which I did reach out to him about and let him know, that's why he had that information. So I did invite him based on the board's recommendation to do so.
And that's fine. He should be. He's the guy. But was the budget online so the people can look at it ahead of time?
The what we were looking at today, that document today is just given to the trustees. There's been
It's public record.
And I'm happy to give it to
draft
whoever.
on it.
Yep, I'm happy to.
People can't come to these meetings and ask questions on it if they don't have the information. And it seems like the information's being given out last minute from what I can see. And I don't think that's the way you do business. I was the treasurer for the town of Londonderry for 3 years. I'm the one that put the purchasing policy in place. Well,
No disrespect meant, sir, but I really have to go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
So I could come and help a lot, but you have to want the help. This is what it comes down to. Not how to run the library. I don't know squat about running a library. I don't think I've read a full novel in my whole life. I don't enjoy reading, unless it's for research.
Thank you, Nancy.
So that's what I get to say. I've got a bunch of others.
Thank you for
Yeah,
coming,
thank
sir.
you. I'll do it again. But we need some answers.
Am I allowed to speak again? I don't know if I definitely appreciate your input and questions because like I mentioned to you on the phone, this is a learning process. I'm learning and I appreciate things coming to my attention so that we can get them right. I think our goal is to really have things done correctly. I know we do as best as we can to do that with the information that we're provided, so I definitely appreciate that. But I hope there's not an assumption that we're trying to do things wrong because I think we really are trying to do it right. And certainly the trust funds, I was not aware of them. There's no documentation in my office that they existed, so I appreciate you bringing them because then we can look into that and maybe use them hopefully
For something.
So I definitely appreciate that. But I do promise you we are trying to do the best we can with the information.
And
that
one
we have.
last thing that I might have heard incorrectly, but I thought I heard you put together the agenda for the meetings.
Yes.
That should be the chairman of the board. And everybody that has something to go on the agenda sends it to them. It shouldn't be done by you. I mean, you're taking on jobs, as has Donna, that really aren't your jobs. You got enough to do. I'm just saying.
Agreed.
You shouldn't be doing it. Whoever the chair is should be putting the agenda together. And every member who's a trustee has the same authority on it and just send whatever they think should be on the agenda to her to put on the agenda.
Okay.
That's one thing off your plate, hopefully big thing off your plate. So, no, I'm not all negative, but I've been in this town a long time. I've been involved a long time. And I've been getting phone calls about the library stuff going on from citizens. Because I will come out and speak, and people are afraid to speak, and I'm not.
I do hope you tell those people that they are more than welcome to call us or reach out to the board because we're happy to answer those questions and provide information.
I'm sure you would. The problem is if they're younger and they have kids in the school and it gets around somehow, then things are taken out on their kids through school or through sports. I know that because I went through that with my kids. My kids are now 36 and 29, but so they won't say. They're afraid to say stuff. I wasn't then, and as you can tell, I'm certainly not now. So at that, I'll let you all go home.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate the help and the knowledge, and it sounds like you've been in town positions and know how everything works and how it should work. So I appreciate the input. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to make a quick comment because it's late. I would just like to first of all thank you for all your due diligence and the willingness to, schedule another meeting to look into the budget, because I think it's really important for the public and for the taxpayers to be transparent. And I really like to see, I'm really liking what I'm seeing tonight, where you're looking into everything, you're trying to improve the whole board and the process of the library. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you. Do we need to vote to end the meeting?
Yes, we need a motion to, we need a
Jan,
motion.
motion?
I make a motion that we adjourn without going into non-public, because we don't meet once a month.
Second by Liz.
All in favor?
9:52.
Aye. We'll vote for Nancy because she already